This week on the Big Boss Book Club, I'm talking with Red Zone Rogue. We're discussing his journey through tabletop gaming, our passion for dead collectible card games, and of course, Arkham Horror. All that and more this week on the Big Boss Book Club. Welcome back. So, before we dive into this week's episode, I want to tell you a little story. So, when I started doing this podcast, I was sat in my living room when no one was around, shouting into my phone and uploading it to the old interweb via the now historic Anchor app, which of course no longer exists. And I thought that was all that was ever really going to come from this show. It was just going to be me shouting into my phone. Managed to convince a few friends to come on, as you now are aware, people like Jim, Martin, and but then people started floating in from outside my immediate friends list, and I started thinking to myself, is there a list of people that I really want to get on this show? And I thought, I'm going to just come up with a little bucket list in my head of people that I would really, really like to interview. And so I thought, what a better way to sort of close out season 6 than to start ticking names off that list. Following Tommy Fresh's advice of, well, if you want to get someone on the show, why don't you just ask them? I did. The silly fool said yes. I'd like to welcome onto the show podcaster, YouTuber, gamer, and just all-round cool guy, Kel, aka the Red Zone Rogue. How is it doing, good sir? Welcome to the Big Boss Book Club.
How's it going? I'm doing pretty well. How are you doing today?
Oh man, I think I said just before we come on, I'm so tired.
Yeah.
I'm having a bit of a gout flare up at the moment in my knee, and we've got 2 kids, one of which is like 9 weeks old at the point of recording this. So it's like, yeah, I'm just like sitting on the sofa, just like, hi.
Yeah.
Not helping. Before we could jump into things, I do need to say a massive thank you. A, for coming on. But B, also I won the giveaway for the call.
Oh yeah.
So very, very thank you, much a thank you for that, and also your positive feedback on my sharpened karambit back in the second episode of the Azalea Cult.
Oh yeah, I remember that too. That was a sweet one, dude.
Yeah. Jim picked me as the winner, and you were like, "Oh, thank goodness you did it, because if you didn't, I was going to have a real hard time picking one."
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you very much. I really appreciated the feedback. It was really cool. Yeah, and the calling. Wow. Yeah, that has worked out quite well for me. I ended up going 0-2 in the calling, and I dropped because
That's
CC
fair.
is not my game.
That's also
Unfortunately.
fair.
But I went 2-2 in both the side events that I did that day, and then I did the UPF event the day after, and I went out third, which I thought was perfectly reasonable. And I got a Coal Foil Soul Shackle for my trouble.
Oh, nice.
5 booster packs of Dust Till Dawn, of which I pulled 2 Majestics and 2 Legendaries.
Wow. That's pretty good.
So I felt really sorry for whoever else pulled packs from that box, because they weren't getting
Right?
nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. They're gonna get like the 50-cent bulk Majestics at best, right?
Yeah, I got the Crown of Providence and the
Ooh.
what's it called? Diadem? The
Yeah, the,
illusionist
the
one.
Diadem of Dream State or whatever.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah, so I was kind of like, well, it's not been a bad weekend, has it?
Right. Yeah. I mean, Crown of Providence is really sweet. So yeah,
Yes, and I've already sold it. So, so it's
fair.
in and straight out the other side. But yeah, so thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. Didn't get you on to talk about me though. Definitely got you on to talk about you. So I'll throw some questions your way. The one I always like to open up with is, how did you get into tabletop gaming? What's your journey into it?
Ooh. Okay. So I'm going to try to keep it short. I'm known for talking a lot, and especially about things that I'm really interested and passionate about. And tabletop gaming is like I'd say my chief passion currently. I do like video gaming and all that kind of stuff too, and a bunch of other random stuff as
Okay.
well. But I first started. I'm gonna say not including like family board game stuff. In the what most people would consider like tabletop gaming these days, in terms of like TCGs and other such bigger board games. Um, I would say probably just Magic, right? I've been
Okay.
playing Magic the Gathering since 1995. I
Oh
started with
wow.
fourth edition. I was about 7 or 8 years old at the time. Before that, we had played other board games and stuff. And what I mean by like family board games is I don't know if people out there are familiar with Stratego and
Yeah.
other board games of that era. Like the you know
Risk.
yeah, like pre-80s board games that my folks just had. Um, Definitely played a lot of that kind of stuff.
Nice.
But Magic was like the one that I was personally just really, really into. Started with, like I said, fourth edition, and yeah, I just got into it because of I loved the art. I loved like the sense of
Okay.
wonder that it gave me, because I didn't really know much about it. Right, I was just a kid, and you see like these cards with like this awesome artwork, and you get like this sense of wonder. At the time, was a huge fan of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. I started reading at a pretty early age, and The Hobbit was one of the first books I ever read. And so I already had like this baked in love of like the fantasy genre. And then Magic the Gathering was just kind of like this really, really um, magical, for lack of a better word,
Yeah.
formative experience for me. So I've been playing ever since then. In terms of
Oh wow.
Magic,
Okay.
I'm not one of those people who sold their collection. There's a lot of folks I talk to who've been playing Magic as long as me who like go through phases of their life where they like sell their entire collection or whatever. I had never sold it, so I literally have all of my stuff. So I have a
Wow.
very nice, very very nice Magic collection. Um,
Yikes.
and I currently don't play it anymore, but it was like the catalyst for all of this stuff. And I have a younger brother who's 1 year younger than me, and he and I have been like we got into it and we've played like almost every TCG under the sun. I know some folks say like, "Oh, I played everything," but I've actually played like Legend of the Five Rings, Warlord, um, Wyvern. These are all like games from the '90s. I've
Yeah.
played the X Files TCG, the Tomb Raider TCG, the Gundam
Wow.
TCG. I've played like everything. Um, Zatch Bell, which is they had this little book that you put the cards. So it's like looks like a spell book, and the
Okay.
pages of the spell book are blank individual card pages, like on like binder pages, and you flip through your spell book, and that's how you play the cards. It's a weird game. Um,
So I love
but
that because I'm a huge fan of I'm a big Dead TCG fan.
oh
I
yeah,
like I like starter products for Dead TCGs. I like collect them. I've got like the Terminator card
ooh,
game. I've got like
yeah,
starter
yeah,
decks for that. The Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
oh yeah.
Um, X Files is on the list of things to get because I have seen them online.
There was this is a pro tip for dead TCG fans out there. eBay can be good, but there's a couple websites that are just like bangers. Since 2020, it's been a little bit more difficult with like the TCG boom, and a lot of these dead card games that used to be worth pennies are worth more than that, depending on the IP.
Mm,
Um, but there's two websites in particular. Unfortunately, they're both located in the United States, so shipping is going to be paying for folks in the UK or in Europe. But there's a website called Hills Wholesale Gaming. Um,
wholesale gaming.
and then Potomac Distribution, and both of them carry a wide swath of just old dead stuff. I was able to find really, really nice old games for pretty cheap. Like, I don't know if folks can see in my background here, but I
Well,
do have a couple sealed boxes of Middle Earth CCG, which
okay.
was one of my absolute favorites. Beautiful, beautiful Lord of the Rings artwork. I already said I'm a big fan. Um, and it has like that really old magic vibe. I also have bought an ungodly amount of Wyvern. But if you want to talk about like the other ones, like I do have a bunch of sealed X Files I bought from someone off of eBay in like 2019, 2020. And they were a tournament organizer. They had some sort of involvement in the game. And so they had a bunch of like exclusive promos and they had a bunch of bundles that were like pretty cheap. Um,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah.
I all the stuff to get over here is quite expensive, especially through, like you said, through eBay.
Yeah.
I'll have to try those sites out because I do. I have like a proper. I've got like I just see random things. Like I saw, I was in Rill once with the missus, and we were just in this random comic shop that I'd never seen before. I thought, oh, this is new. We'll go and have a look. And then they just had this cabinet at the back, and they've got WCW Monday Nitro trading card
Oh
game,
yeah.
2-player starter deck. I was like, it was £7. I was like, "Yeah, I'm buying that."
Yeah.
I was like, I'm having that. It's still sealed. It's still sat upstairs in a drawer. I absolutely love it. I've got the Star Wars CCG. Like
Oh,
it's like a 2-player
is it
sealed
the
box.
one by oh crap, what's the company that made it? Decipher? Is it the Decipher one?
Yes,
Okay, cool.
yes.
Um,
And it
that's
has a
one of the games
booster
my
pack in it.
yeah, that's one of the games my brother and I played as a kid. We got it was a 2-player set. I think it's a white box that has inside there are 2 decks. There's a light side deck and a dark side deck. One of them has Luke and the other one has Vader in it. Um,
Yeah.
that was one of the more obtuse games to play. The mechanics
Okay.
weren't like super streamlined compared to like Magic or something. And that's true for a lot of 90s card games because like Legend of the Five Rings was also a little obtuse, and so was the
Oh.
Middle Earth CCG. But,
I had a look
yeah.
at the just because my cousin had it, it gave it me randomly. Got a Star Trek CCG.
Oh,
And I
I have an
tried
old
reading
one.
the rules, and I was like, "This seems overly complicated."
I have a starter deck of the one that uses the first run of Star Trek. I know there's multiple different Star Trek
Yeah.
card games, but the one that I have, I think, is published by like Upper Deck or something like that.
Oh,
Maybe even someone else. Like
oh, I
I
just
could go
lost you there
digging.
for a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry. You got me back?
Yeah, I got you back.
Okay, cool. Um, I was saying the Star Trek TCG or CCG. I know there's multiple versions, and
Yeah.
I have the one that has the original run of Star Trek.
Okay. This was Next Generation. This starter deck.
Oh, okay, okay. I think those are
Mm.
different games then. But
Yeah, because
yeah,
there's loads of them. There's a Deep Space Nine version as well because there's like a Trouble with Tribbles like starter box for like
yeah,
the 2 decks. And I was like, oh yeah, I just keep seeing them. I'm like, I'm gonna buy them eventually. There's like a 24 trading card game as well.
yeah.
Like I was like, the stuff they put into trading card games just blows my mind.
It's. I mean, there was a time in period in history where there was just like tons and tons and tons of TCGs getting pumped out. We're in a time currently where that's happening now, and
Yeah.
I feel that people like 10, 15 years from now are going to experience the same stuff we're talking about now. Where they're like, oh, remember X card game that came out that died after 2 sets or whatever. There's going to be unfortunately there's going to be a lot of those,
Oh yeah.
um, now we're talking about the ones from like the 90s and 2000s. I literally have, oh, you can't see it. One of the back shelves here is just all dead TCGs. So I have a brick, like a sealed starter brick of the Tomb Raider card game that I bought
Ah,
on eBay
nice.
for like $15. Um,
That's
the
a bargain.
Cyberpunk 20, is it 2012 or 2010? I bought a ton of that because someone was selling them on eBay for like $8 a piece for box like sealed boxes. So I just bought just like
Wow.
$100 worth. What are the other ones I was able to get for super cheap? Wars. Wars is a card game made by Decipher after they lost the license to Star Wars. And so what they did is they made their own IP using the same mechanics from the Star Wars CCG.
Ah,
Um,
okay.
so they only ended up making 2 sets, but back in like 2019, I was able to pick up a ton of them for like less than $10 per box from Hills Wholesale Gaming. And so
Wonderful.
I just bought like 100 something dollars worth. So I got like tons and tons of boxes. And for a while, like that's what I gave to my brother for his birthday that year. I was just like, here's like 4 booster boxes and all the starter decks. It cost me like almost nothing, almost nothing. But
Yeah.
it's just kind of like, oh, he gets to open up a bunch of packs and stuff.
You see,
Um,
I'm in
yeah,
a Dead TCG CCG group on Facebook, and they're always putting up pictures, and I can't remember the name of the shop. I would jump to my phone now, but I've been scrolling for ages. And they're always like, "Oh, hey, look what I picked up in this shop," and you just see shelves of just these like dead TCGs like Mega Man and like
Oh yeah.
starter decks for like $1, and you're like, I can't. There's nowhere in the UK I can go and do that. I wish there was, because I would be all over it. But yeah, there's nowhere, unfortunately. So I'm resigned to either shipping things in from America or just wait until someone from the UK has it, putting them on eBay, and me being lucky enough to find them. Which is basically what happened with the Terminator game. I was just
Mm.
scrolling through like CCG starters and went Terminator, and I think I got them both for like £12, which isn't horrendous. It's not too much.
Yeah.
Um,
I think
oh,
the craziest price swing that I've seen is there's two games. There's the Harry Potter TCG, and then
yes.
the Lord of the Rings TCG, not Middle Earth CCG, but the Lord of the Rings one that had the screenshot art from like the movies.
Mm,
And so I did a video about that maybe a year or two ago, and I was able to buy boxes for dirt cheap. The starter decks were like $1 to $2. I bought literally every one that they had, and then I bought at least one of all the booster boxes, and they were ranging from like, I don't know, like $12 to $40 for like the really rare ones.
wow.
And now they're like hundreds of dollars. Um, I get comments on the videos. They're like, "Where are you finding these for $12?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, that
Hey,
was like in 2019. You can't get them anymore." Um, yeah, and then uh, the other one was Harry Potter. I didn't actually buy any Harry Potter card game stuff, but I did when I was a kid. I played it as a kid,
okay.
and I had my eye on getting some Harry Potter stuff. And they were pretty cheap. I remember like in one particular set, it must have been like the bad set. It was like Diagon Alley was like $20 a box and stuff. But now I've checked recently, like in the last year or so, and the prices are way higher, like hundreds and hundreds of
Wow.
dollars. Um,
I wonder if that's to do with like the Fantastic Beast films and the new game, the Hogwarts thing game. I'm not a
it,
Harry Potter guy.
I probably has to do with that, and then just like all like I mentioned earlier, all of the TCGs. Um, well, not all of them, but a big chunk of them had a huge boom in like 2020 to like 2022, and I saw all of these dead TCGs that I was buying for dirt cheap spiked. Like almost all of them got big bumps. So like I used to buy Wyvern boxes for about $20, and that was like my dead TCG that I was personally just opening and collecting for a lot of fun. I would just buy bunches and bunches. I probably opened up, I don't know, a couple hundred sealed Wyvern boxes, which is funny
Wow.
because they're like from 1995. They're old. Um, I have a full set of the entire game except
Oh,
for
nice.
two cards. I'm missing two cards from the Chameleon set, which is the super rare set. It was the set that they released right as the game got canceled, so it didn't get printed very
Oh,
much. Um, and the boxes
there's,
for that set were expensive.
there's
Like,
got to be a way of getting them cards, hasn't there? There's got to be a
yeah,
website out there that's got them.
yeah, I'll have to figure out which ones they are exactly. They're two of the uncommon twos. So in the old CCGs, some games didn't have rares. What they did is they had common cards, and then they had uncommon cards, and what they call uncommon one, two, or three. Um, and I think Wyvern and Chameleon had uncommon one and uncommon twos, and it's how often they appeared on the print sheet. And so I think uncommon. So I'm missing two uncommon ones. So uncommon twos I think appeared twice on the print sheet, and then uncommon ones appeared once on the print sheet. If there are any other dead CCG experts out there, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think
Oh,
that's how it was done. Um, and yeah, so some of the cards are like pretty hard to pull, even though they're
oh,
just quote uncommons.
quote
Um,
commons. Yeah.
yeah, there
Oh wow.
wasn't rares or anything.
See, see,
But
I wish I could get hold of like, because for me it's the old. If I was going to start trying to get booster boxes for the old versus system, because
oh
there's
yeah,
still a few cards from that
oh
I would be missing for like my personal kind of collection. And any time I ever see anyone trying to sell them, that I always look and go, I can't pay that for a game that's been dead for well over a decade at this point. Um,
so I just went onto Hills,
mm,
and well, they don't have very much anymore. So they do have old versus system stuff. They have got
wow.
like Batman versus Joker $12
Oh,
for 6 starter decks. It's a box of
oh,
6 starter decks for $12.
that's
Um,
actually really good.
yeah, DC Origins First Edition booster box. That's 79. Infinite Crisis is 30. Yeah, so they have stuff
That's not
there,
bad actually for Infinite Crisis. That's really good actually.
and they have a
It was
lot of
those later
individual decks.
sets for DC, the DC Legends set. That's the
Yeah, they have one that's expensive ish. It's the Marvel Universe booster box. That's $150. Um,
that's with the Civil War in it. I think Marvel Universe. I feel like that's the Civil War set.
yeah, but for
Yeah.
folks looking for looking for the good deals on the stuff, Hills is really good. Um, I the other two, well, I'll cut it quickly. I'll cut it short. There's two other ones that I like buying a lot of. One of them is Legend of the Five Rings, because Legend of the Five Rings is a fantastic game with beautiful art. They did some really, really unique stuff with organized play, and it is still very cheap because of the reboot. Right,
Yeah.
there is the LCG reboot, so the actual old CCG or TCG, whatever you want to call it, version is still very, very cheap. You can get boxes for like $10 or whatever.
Oh wow.
It's quite cheap. I did a couple videos on it recently in the last year or so.
Mm.
Um, and then the other game is a little bit newer. It's a game that I actually covered on Red Zone Rogue when it was new, and then it died 5 sets in. It's a Bushiroad game called Dragoborn, which was their attempt to make a game for the Western market. And this is like, a year or two before Flesh and Blood kind of cracked things open.
Okay.
But Dragonborn's an awesome game. It's designed by Mike Elliott, who is a legendary card game designer. He's the guy who made Slivers, if people know what Slivers are in Magic the Gathering.
Wow.
He also designed a lot of the early Magic sets, like the Tempest block era stuff. He's a very well known designer. But anyway, he also
Cool.
did I want to say Duel Masters and some
Oh, you see,
other games.
Duel Masters, you've got me there. I love well, first couple of sets after that start going a bit crazy, but first two sets, I have the full first set of Duel Masters in a folder.
Oh yeah,
Um, it, I loved it, but then everyone was like, it's just an introduction to Magic, and I was like, oh, I don't want to play Magic,
yeah.
so I didn't take it any further than that. But Duel Masters is a standalone piece. First three sets were really good. I really enjoyed them.
Yeah, I love Dragonborn. It's an entirely unique game system. You basically have 3 lanes that are your fortresses, and your goal is to destroy your enemy fortresses, right? So you don't have like, it's not a
Okay.
game where you have like 20 life or whatever. The goal is to destroy your enemy fortresses. And then you can place like units in the fortress, and then like traps in front of the fortresses. It's a really fun game. It does use
Cool.
dice mechanics, but it's interesting dice mechanics where it's not you just roll to see who gets the higher number. You use the dice and assign them to different things. And sometimes cards will have dice ranges on them. So you'll have a card maybe that's like, if you have a dice 1 to 3, do this effect, and if it's 4 to 6, do this effect. So it's not
Okay.
always like higher numbers better, which I think is really cool. And this is a game that
Yeah.
I was really sad when it died, and so I bought out a couple game stores. They were liquidating their stuff, so I spent I think maybe like $200, and I bought ungodly. I mean, I literally bought their entire stock. So I own
Wow.
like 10 to 15 of some of the starter decks. I have a bunch of the booster boxes, which I've opened up most of them. I still have some of them on my back shelf, and I do have a complete 100% set of Dragoborn. One of every card, not in foil, just one of every normal card. Um,
Was it parallel?
what do you mean
Like
parallel?
versus system. So versus system, you could get every card in foil and every
Oh,
card in non-foil.
yeah, it's basically
Yeah.
like that. And there's
Okay.
like some chase versions, like alternate art ones. I don't have all of them either. I have some of them. And what makes collecting for Dragoborn very hard, and it's the same thing that makes collecting for a lot of dead TCGs difficult, especially if they had like a little bit of a following, is that I mentioned earlier that Wyvern, the final set for Wyvern, it's called Chameleon. They released the final set right when the game was dying, and so there's very few printed. Same thing happened for Dragoborn. There was one final set called what's set 5? What's the name of the set? I don't remember the name of the set, but set 5. And the print run was super short. Basically, it was they only printed pre-orders. Um, and then that's it. And um,
Hmm.
I have a box opening on the channel, opening up my pre-orders, and I think someone commented they're like this guy bought the entire print run or something like that, which is funny because I only opened up like 3 or 4 boxes. Um, so like yeah, that particular set is like if you're a foil chaser, good luck. Like
Oh no.
it's gonna be like impossible. Um, but anyway,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's kind of
Dragonborn.
like that. I can't imagine that back versus system as well, because versus system was like yeah, there was like foils and then the non-foils. So if you wanted a foil version of like one of the rarer cards, yeah, you if you're into like if you want a play set was 4 cards, yeah, if you want four foil versions of a really rare card, yeah, good luck, especially now. Um, yeah, it's not going to be. Did you ever play Raw Deal? Random question.
No, I haven't. No.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I'll get you on the raw deal. Get you on raw deal. That'd be great. Because even that, like, I've still got pretty much all my raw deal cards, and they were expensive at the time. But now I'm still in some raw deal groups on Facebook, and people are selling them, and people are buying them, and the prices. I'm like, do I just want to put some of mine on here and and like sell them because they're quite expensive. Like
Yeah,
it's crazy.
yeah. I don't blame you. I went through something similar to that with some new card games where like the prices are so insane that I'm like, is it financially irresponsible of me to just open these up and have fun with them, or should I just sell them for the thousands of dollars that people are buying them for right now? Um,
Yeah,
it's uh, it's tough. It's tough. Um,
I'm a big fan of they're meant to be played. I I did an entire episode where again ranting into my phone at the time, um, where I was just kicking off about not being able to get hold of Tales of Aria when it first came out.
yeah.
Everywhere I went, it was just sold, and then you saw these boxes turning up on eBay for like 6 times the recommended retail price, and you're just screaming at my laptop like, "Why is this?" Yeah, I was like, "You're supposed to play the cards, not just buy them to sell them on." Um, yeah, so I think I would be like, "Open the packs, Cal. Open the packs and play the cards."
Yeah, it's what I'm alluding to specifically is Sorcery Alpha Edition, and the boxes are currently
Yeah,
selling about for $900 on eBay a piece.
really.
And yeah, yeah. Um, and some of the cards are actually like the value's there. So I have opened up some stuff, and I opened up a very very nice card. I tossed it up on eBay. I was just at random price. I was like, I know this is expensive, so I tossed it up for $2,000 and for auction, and it ended up selling for over eight. Um,
Wow.
yeah, man, foil Philosopher's Stone. Um, which so to peel back the curtain a little bit, I'm a little bit not super involved, but I helped alpha test the game. Um, I helped give a lot of feedback to it, and for when the Kickstarter finally rolled around, I backed it at the collector tier, which
Okay.
came with 2 cases. It came with you can't see the painting, but it came with a painting, like an original
Oh,
painting from the
nice.
game, as well as some uncut sheets, which I have not gotten yet. They're going to be in the mail. But it was about like it's the most I've ever spent on a Kickstarter. But that's because I really believed in the game, and not believed in it in terms of like financial believe in it. I believe in it because I love the game. I love the
Mm.
vibe. I love the feel. It gave me the same feelings that I first got when I played Magic that I mentioned at the top of the show here, and I spent like over 2,000. I think it was like $2,500 on it, um,
Okay.
with the intent of like, hey, I'm gonna spend this money on it, and then I'm gonna be able to sell a little bit of it back and to recoup my money. And my plan was to sell 3 out of 4 of my uncut sheets because I don't have space for all 4 uncut sheets, and I would keep my favorite one, sell the other 3 to get my money back.
Okay.
Turns out the game is like popping off, and I more than made my money back on that one card that I sold for
Yeah,
eight thousand
yeah.
dollars, and that's not the only one that I've sold. I've sold a couple other ones too.
That's
Um,
nuts.
and so like I until recently I was sitting on a sealed case here, a sealed case of 6 boxes, and it's like 6 grand, man. And I'm just like, do I open this and have fun with it like I planned on doing it, or do I just wait for the beta release, just buy the beta boxes for like, you know, a tenth of the price, and then just sell this? I ended up opening it, so I did open
Yeah,
it. I did
good
open
man,
it. I,
good man.
I I still have one sealed box here on the table that I plan to open, and then I have one sealed box on my background display. But that's because I just like having at least one kind of sealed thing on my background display, just for
Mm,
like displaying purposes. So like,
yeah.
I have Dragonborn sealed. Like I mentioned, I have like Tomb Raider back there. So I have a sorcery sealed box back there and a sealed like starter thing.
Nice.
But
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
It's
like, it's kind of crazy, that
yeah.
one in particular.
I I didn't do the sorcery Kickstarter. I was I was going to pull the trigger on the starter decks. I don't want to get
Hmm.
into another TCG. I've kind of just I've laid down the ground. I don't want to do it. I can't do it to myself. I spend way too much on Flesh and Blood as it is. And I
Yeah.
thought, do you know what? It's this. But they did. Oh, have these sealed decks, and
Yeah.
I was going through the Kickstarter process, and I was like putting it in the basket, and but then we worked out that after tax was added and then shipping was added, it was like going to be nearly close to £100 just to get
Mm.
4 starter decks. And I was like, I can't justify that for 4 starter decks. But I have actually pre ordered the beta starter decks from Living
Yeah.
Realms, who hosted the call in here, for like 26 quid. I'm like, do you know
Yeah.
what? I'll do.
Yeah.
uh,
Sorcery's a bit of a unique game in the TCG world in that they're gonna have very limited set releases, only like 1 to 2 per year. Um, and honestly, the game plays more like a board game, so it's a game that I recommend to folks who just want to play it. If you want to play like another card game, but not like the same way a lot of people play Flesh and Blood, where you spend like hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars every set. Where sorcery is like, it's got like 2 sets a year, man. You can just kind of like slowly pick and choose the cards you like over the course of a year, and then like just play it at the kitchen table like it's meant to be played. So it's like, it's not like you're going to be going like, they don't have plans for like a pro tour or competitive circuit. That's not like what they're doing.
yeah.
Um, they will have organized play like in store for like, you have like in store pricing and stuff, but
Mm.
it's just kind of
It's
like
not
a
going to be
little.
to the same degree, is it? It's they've.
Yeah.
I watched the Team Covenant videos when they first sort of started doing like and talking about it,
Yeah.
and I was when Zach and Stephen were playing, I was like, this actually looks really interesting.
It's a lot of
um,
fun.
yeah, so I'm pretty excited for those. I think they're due in September. I think, so I'm pretty excited for them.
um
Is it
October, I
October?
believe.
Is it?
And I got that from the community manager. um
Okay.
yeah, because I will be covering the beta release. um
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, yeah, and they're gonna actually send me like product to review specifically, like, and so we've already talked to them about it. So I will be reviewing the beta launch for both the starter decks and the booster boxes. And my big thing with sorcery is I just want people to play the game because I think the game is really really
Yeah.
fun. Um, and I'm really hoping that the beta launch helps facilitate that because it is prohibitively expensive to people who just want to play right now, right? Like,
Yeah.
no normal person is going to drop $800, $900 on like a booster box of just a game, like a random game. Like, that's just
Yeah.
doesn't happen. So beta launch is like where it's at for most people. And
Yeah.
yeah,
I
to their credit, Eric, I was chatting with the creator Eric the other day, and he was saying that
Okay.
they're trying their best to get the turnaround time as short as possible. But it's just how manufacturing works. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I'm currently waiting for, even though I had an email yesterday or this morning saying it's starting to be shipped in Europe. I backed Earthborn Rangers for
Oh,
Kickstarter.
yeah, yeah.
I am super excited to get that. And but that has just had, it feels like delay after delay. It was supposed to like be out in, everything was supposed to have been completed by like April, and it's still not even been shipped yet. It's like they've just had so many issues trying to get it out the door. Um, and it's just a nightmare with those sort of productions, isn't it? I think everyone has has them, unfortunately.
Yeah. You see it every now and then, and I think the ones that are going through like very high quality manufacturers get those delays. I've
Mm.
seen some Kickstarters be able to turn around the print run like very quickly. And actually always worries me when they do that, because I'm like, I know for certain, because I know people in the industry, all of like the big name printers are like backed up. And so to flip it around so quickly means that they either have the product already printed, or they have like they're using like a much cheaper manufacturer, or maybe just a different manufacturer that people don't um, typically use
Yeah.
or know about. But yeah, like a lot of the big dogs use the same one. A lot of them use Cardamundi. That's what Flesh and Blood uses. That's what Magic the Gathering and I maybe even Pokemon use.
Okay.
I know Magic and Flesh and Blood for sure use Cardamundi as their printer. Um, but
Is
other
that the one
companies,
based in Belgium, or is that the one
yeah. So
in?
they have multiple printers, but yeah, they are
Mm,
from Belgium. I think
okay.
they do have a U.S. printer and they do have a Japanese printer as well. Um, you can
Because I
usually
know,
tell the cardstock where it's from.
uh,
Um,
Earthborn were trying to do like local manufacturing. So I think they've got a deal with someone in Europe to do it in
mm.
Europe, and then America would be an American company. But I'm interested to see what that'll look like when it lands. I am pretty excited about it. I don't. It's the only Kickstarter I have left. Thank goodness. Um,
I've
I
got a couple, but um,
oh, I
most
went
of them are board
all in.
games.
Yeah, I went all in on Resident Evil 3, like all in on Resident Evil 3, and it's still all sat in the original box that it came in. Like the post box, like the delivery driver, it's all still in the same box. Um, uh, Hogs of War, because I remembered the PlayStation 1 game, and I was like, that's awesome. I'm going to back it. Again, that's still in the shrink wrap. It's
Yeah,
still, and it sat on the box that Resident Evil came in. So it's waiting and raring to go. It's just having the time to sit and do it. So
yeah.
when
I know what you mean.
Earthborn, yeah,
I didn't back Earthborn, but I recently got a game called Tales of the Red Dragon Inn, or Tales from the Red Dragon Inn, which is
okay,
a just a massive like cooperative board game. Um, and it is still like, I opened it up. I was like, oh, this is cool. I opened it up, and it's one of those games that was like, stop, don't open up anymore. You'll be opening it up as you play the game. And I'm like, okay, well, that's that. Put it all back in the
okay.
box. It's similar to like Gloomhaven, if you're familiar with Gloomhaven.
I've heard
Um,
of it. I've not played it. I will be honest.
so the games like that, like um, Gloomhaven and like Tales from the Red Dragon Inn, they have like campaigns, right? So it's like a bunch of different story scenarios. It's a cooperative board
Cool.
game. You have your characters. It's almost like a miniature style, you know, thing. But yeah, there's like, you play it sequentially through the missions, and they don't want you to spoil anything. So you open up you
Uh,
open up parts of it as you go. Um,
that's kind of
yeah,
cool. I kind of like that actually. Be
yeah,
interesting. You quickly jump back in.
right,
Have
yeah.
So obviously you came in at Magic. Have you ever played any of the? Well, obviously a few more as well. Have you ever played any of them in like a competitive way, or has it always
Ooh,
kind of just been, oh hey, we're just gonna chill out and play?
yeah. I actually didn't mention this. Okay, so yes, I have actually played competitive Magic and competitive Yu-Gi-Oh. I didn't mention the other two big three games, but yes, I did
Yu-Gi-Oh!
play. Yeah, I did play Pokemon, and I did play Yu-Gi-Oh quite a bit. Um, I played Yu-Gi-Oh more seriously than Pokemon. So we'll talk about Magic first. Yeah, I played Magic. I played Magic at the local levels. I was always one of those guys who you'd see at the top tables at the locals. I've played in old premier level, like big level events. So
Cool.
they don't exist anymore. But for old Magic boomers like me, um, you'll know what the Super Series is. And I played in the Super Series back when that was a thing. I played in the Junior Super Series when I was younger, and I played it in the Super Series when I was a little bit older. I do have some old Pro points that don't exist anymore. Pro points don't exist anymore. Um, and I have placed, like, I've never like I never like won any events, but I have prized at big events. So I think the biggest one I prized at was a big event here in Portland during Onslaught, and I think it was a 400 or 500 person event, and
Nice.
I would have gotten ninth, but me and my opponent we split. So the last round we split. We found that no matter who wins, no one's getting top eight. Um, and if I let him win, we would have gotten more prizes overall or something like that. So what we did is we decided to just split the prizes. He technically won, so I ended up getting like 13th or 14th place overall. And then we just split even prizes. And this is when I was in like
Nice.
middle school. It was like middle school or high school. I was very young. Um,
So
I
what's
had
middle school in America? What age range
oh
is that?
so I have to think about age range. I'm currently 35, so like this is a long time ago for me. This is like 20 years ago. I I want to say so. You have elementary school, which is like it's grades one through oh shit, one through like 4 or 5, and then middle school is like 5 to 8 or 9, and then high school is like 9 to 12, I think. So it's like I want to say 10 ages 10 to 15 ish, something like that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
my parents had to sign a thing so I could go to it because it was like we didn't live in Portland, so we had to like drive up. We went with with our LGS. Um, so so yeah, there's that. It was played a lot of competitive Magic. Basically quit Magic more, not really quit, but just kind of like my priorities changed as I got into like high school. Changed from like Magic and stuff to like music and girls. So went from like Magic to like music and girls,
Yeah.
and so most of my time was spent doing those things. I was in a band for a while. Um, Anyone who looks at me could probably guess like, oh, like that dude looks like he was in a band. Yes, I played rhythm guitar in a few different bands. Um,
Nice.
and then in college, oddly enough, I met my partner Robin in college in our first year, and I had a little bit more time. And my time was spent between spending time with Robin and then spending time with World of Warcraft because I played a lot of World of Warcraft, and then
Uh,
um, Magic a little bit because like every new set I'd invite friends over to my apartment and we'd do something called the drink and draft where we'd all draft and just get wasted.
nice.
Um, just get It's
Nice.
super fun. No one kept up with any of the sets. Like no one looked at the spoilers or whatever. And this is like Innistrad block era, Shards of Alara block era, like 2006, and it was fun. Like just everyone drafted, had a good time, just got drunk, and it was great. We used to have a we in the later ones we'd have this rule. So every time you won a game, you'd have to take a shot, right?
Oh.
So like the more you win, the more drunk you get. So it's easier for you to lose. So it's kind of like this balancing mechanic, and also you get
uh,
rewarded. You get drunk. So anyway,
yeah.
there's that, and then
Like that.
wheeling it way back to when I was younger, I played Yu-Gi-Oh, and I started Yu-Gi-Oh with the
Awesome.
first set, the Yugi Kaiba starter decks,
Ditto.
um, Metal Raiders, Legend of Blue Eye
Yeah.
set. I played up until Yada Lock era, so Yada Garasu
Oh.
era.
Mm,
I played like this fiend themed control deck that I won using Dark Ruler Hades and a
nice.
combination of Hades plus all of the busted cards at the time. At the time I was playing, you were allowed 2 Graceful Charities in your deck, a card that is now banned, but
Oh
you
yes.
could play
Very
two at
much
the
banned.
time. So my deck was like 2 Graceful Charities, Pot of Greed, Regeki, Dark Hole, Change of Heart, Snatch
Oh
Steal. I
yeah.
had a bunch of like Call of the Haunted, and then I had some other busted stuff like Confiscation. I had the Forceful
Nice.
Sentry, Delinquent Duo, a lot of like hand
Oh.
disruption. And so my deck was all like kind of like a hate bear style deck for Magic. It was very anti my opponent. So I had Dark Ruler made it so anytime a fiend would attack a face down monster, their effect wouldn't work. So I
Yeah.
could easily pick off their effect monsters, their flip effects, and then I had stuff like Imperial Order, Imperial Command, the one that makes it
Imperial
so
Order.
like Yeah, that makes
I
it so
think.
magic cards don't work, and then I had
Yeah.
another one that made it so like trap cards didn't work. So it was basically like just really oppressive deck where it's just like you can't do anything. I'm gonna play all this stuff that makes you discard cards, and then I'm just gonna kill you with like my summon skull and my dark ruler because
Nice.
they're just super efficient. So
Nice.
that I still have the deck sleeved up like over
Wow.
there. It,
That is not legal anymore, my friend.
I know, yeah. Half the deck is banned, but I
Yeah.
do still have a couple of my first edition cards from there, and I think they're like pretty sweet. So like one of my other favorites was Don Zalug. Um,
Yes.
I do have a first edition Ultra Don Zalug still, so that's
Nice.
pretty cool. Like, un- unfortunately, like I do have the Ultra versions of like Monster Reborn, Change of Heart, but they're not first edition, so they don't have like the that value. But
Yeah.
still, they're cool.
My cousin had, because in Europe we had an E added to the code on the
Mm.
cards. So it would be like LOB
Oh, okay,
E001,
okay.
European edition. He had, I don't know if it was the first 3 or 4 sets, complete, like fantastic condition, all European edition, first edition. And
Nice.
yeah, he's still got them now in a folder. Still got them. Just like
Yeah.
not getting rid of these bad boys. Probably worth a fortune if you found the right people, especially if they got graded, like the foils, like Blue Eyes and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Probably worth a fortune.
I know the first edition ones are worth like a ton. Um,
Mm.
yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! It's interesting because it was at a time up until like recently, I really haven't been able to justify buying a lot of like packs of cards. So like
Mhm.
as a kid, and even up to like 2019, 2018, I didn't really buy a ton of like sealed products when I was a kid. Most of it was like trading for stuff. I did a lot of trading. That's how I got most of like all my like sweet cards in my collection. Um, but yeah, even when I was like before I went full time with Red Zone Rogue, I still like didn't buy a ton of like sealed stuff. Like
Mm.
I would basically save up for a couple months, and then when the new set would drop, usually for Magic, I would buy like a couple boxes, like, and that was that. Like, not
Okay.
like Flesh and Blood, where I buy like 20 boxes every set, which is with Dust Till Dawn. I'll be honest, I kind of regret it. Like Dust Till Dawn, like I spent like over $1,000 on Dust Till Dawn, and I still don't even have a full playset of all the cards. I still have to buy like
Wow.
singles. Yeah, the pull rates are like all over the
Just
place on Dust
all
Till
over.
Dawn.
Yeah. Well, two legendaries, 5 packs, mate. What?
Yeah, like
You know what
so
I mean?
here's the thing, and this is the part that like value wise it's probably good. Here, I'm grabbing. I still have my stack of cards here. So these are all the Majestics and higher that I pulled from my
Okay.
my like 20 boxes or whatever. It's more like 15 boxes, I think. But like my pull rates for like the higher end stuff was decent. Like I pulled 3 Light of Souls.
Nice.
One of them is a cold foil. I pulled like 2 of the Marvel Angels, and
Nice.
then like a handful of legendaries. A lot of duplication though. So like here's all the legendaries that I pulled.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I think I averaged out to about 1 per box, but like for example, like 3 of them are the Light Warrior one, right?
Oh
Like this
yeah.
is the Soul Bond Resolve. Um, and then I opened up like multiple Levias. Um, but the kicker for me, and this is obviously like, it's just kind of it's not. I don't know how to put this. I spent so much money, I didn't even get a full play set of stuff. So like I'm looking at my like the Majestics. I did not pull a single adult prism like at all. So
Oh wow.
I have to buy that. I did not pull one of each of all of the figments, so I'll have to buy that. I pulled like one Funeral Moon. I pulled more Light of Souls than I did Funeral Moon. Um, so like I need to buy these. They're not expensive, but it's just like something that like I
If
have
you've
to do
bought,
now.
yeah, if you've
Yeah.
bought that many, you're kind of thinking I should have at least edging towards a playset. If not a
Yeah.
full playset, should have at least two.
And then some cards like this Expendable Limbs Brute card, I have seven of them. So like some cards I got like 1, and then some cards I got like 7. So like the pull rates are like they're all over the place. And what really solidifies that with me, and I'm probably gonna adjust my Flesh and Blood spending with the next set. Well, I don't know. The next set's draftable, so it's going to be different. I'm probably going to buy a lot just to play with it in sealed and draft. But
Yeah.
I've been getting into another game called Shadowverse Evolve. Long story short, I'm a huge Cygames fan, and they're the folks who make Shadowverse. The publisher is Bushiroad, but I'm a big fan of like the Shadowverse IP and a couple of other IPs that Cygames does. It's not something I talk about on my channel much. It's just something I like. I have
What?
figures. I have anime figures of their things.
Oh, is it an anime?
Um,
Is it? I was going to say what's because you said the IP. I was going to say what's the
mm.
IP? Is it? Is it?
There's three IPs that are all kind of share this sort of world. So there's Grand Blue Fantasy, which is a manga. Started as a manga, great manga. It's only seven issues long. It's an anime fantasy. It's really cool.
Cool.
And then there's it has an anime, and then it also has like a mobile game, and it has a whole bunch of other stuff. There's a fighting game. There's Grand Blue Fantasy Versus.
Nice.
Grand Blue Fantasy has its own thing. And then there's Rage of Bahamut, which is a mobile game, and they've done a bunch of other stuff with that as well. And then there's Shadowverse, which is the card game, and it pulls in characters from all the other two things. So like
Okay.
characters that appear in Grand Blue can also appear in Rage of Bahamut, and they all appear in Shadowverse.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
so like it's like this shared world. It's like this anime fantasy
Yeah.
style thing. Um, but
Cool.
long to get to the point, um, I've been getting into Shadowverse Evolve, which is their TCG version of Shadowverse. Shadowverse is typically a digital card game, very popular in Japan, somewhat popular here in the West. Think of something similar to Hearthstone, but not really like Hearthstone. A little bit like Hearthstone.
Okay.
Um, and as a big fan of the IP and of Cygames in general, I went pretty big into Shadowverse Evolve. I bought a sealed case, and that's a big deal because a sealed case for a Bushiroad game is not the same as a sealed case for Flesh and Blood. A sealed case for Flesh and Blood is 4 boxes. A sealed
Mm.
case for a Bushiroad game is 20 boxes. So
Wow.
a sealed case is a big deal, right? So I bought a sealed case for a good price. It was less than $900 or less than $1,000. Typically, they go for a little bit more than that, but I got one at a good price. And the opening experience for that, I don't want to throw shade at Flesh and Blood because everything is random. You still got the cool chase cards,
Mm.
but I do want to say as a player for opening for Shadowverse, it was so much better because I got more than a playset of every card in the set, and then you're guaranteed specific um, rarity pulls. You're not
Okay.
guaranteed specific cards, but you're guaranteed specific rarity pulls. So there's the highest rarity. There's the rare leader cards, and then the ultra rare cards, or I think they're just called ultra rare cards. So you're guaranteed 3 ultra rares per case, and you're guaranteed 2 leaders per case. You're guaranteed them. You get them no matter what. You don't know what box they're in, but you're
But
guaranteed them.
they're in there.
The ultra rares range from value between like $30 to $100, um, and the leader cards range from about $100 to $200. So you're guaranteed big money pulls, and it helps kind of like get your money back if you just want to sell and just keep all the cards. Um, so yeah, so it's like that. I got my guaranteed
That's
pulls, and then since you pull so many, since you're opening so many boxes, you get more than a playset of everything, basically guaranteed. Sometimes you'll end up with more of one card than another, but I was able to build a competitive deck of every single class in the game just buying the case, and I have extras. I
nice.
have a lot of extras, um, and so like the opening experience between like because I opened it right around when I was opening Dust Till Dawn, it just kind of felt bad for Dust Till Dawn. And like once again,
Yeah.
I understand it's all random. You know, you buy singles, yada yada yada. But when you're spending that much to open up a sealed product, there is a
Yeah.
difference in the opening experience. Like I said, I mean my opening wasn't like bad. Like I said, I opened up 3 Light of Souls, which is cool, like 3 Fabled.
Yeah. That's
But
pretty
I also
sweet.
opened up 1 Funeral Moon, so it's like
Yeah.
it's only like a
The
couple dollar card, but still.
You should be expecting to get more of them. See, I nowhere near sort of the extent you're buying, but I generally I'm on like the 1 to 2 box limit. Is generally where I'm at.
See,
Um.
that's fair. Like that's what I used to do before this was like my job. And since it's my
Yeah.
job,
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I want to get all the cards so I can do deck techs for all the things and play all the decks. And if I'm going to do casting and coverage,
Yeah.
I want to play all the decks so I know. So like I bake it into like my. It's not just like for fun. It is fun because it's a card game,
Mm,
but it's part of like my business expenses. And
yeah.
since I am full time, Red Zone Rogue is a LLC. Like it's all tax. I can write off my taxes, and it's all like part of my.
Nice.
It's all part of my business, right? Um, but like I said, like you, before this was my business, I would only buy like a couple boxes
Yeah.
for Magic. When I got into Flesh and Blood, I kind of went crazy. So, which is fortunate for me.
That
But
seems to be a thing because I so I'll put a little bit of context on it. So I played 40k Conquest,
oh,
um, and
I got it down there.
yeah, um, and I was like head over heels for that game. It's like the first game in ages where I've done traveling to play in events and stuff like that. Um, I still have a first round buy that I never managed to cash in before the game finished. It's still in my wallet. I just like to look at it just to remind myself that I didn't cash it in. Um, and after that game finished, I was like, you know what? I am done with these competitive games. There was like a few cooperative games floating around. So I said, this is me now. This is what Tom will do now. Just gonna play these, and then I I saw Team Covenants. I think it was maybe the second video about Flesh and Blood, and I was like, oh. And then I got an email from someone who I bought Arkham Horror off saying we're getting
Mm.
this game in stock if anybody's interested. Oh, pardon me. Um, and I thought, oh, you know, well, I'll just get the starter decks. So I pre-ordered 3 of the 4 starter decks. I don't quite know why. Might as well just I ended up buying all 4 in the end, but at the time I just bought 3 of the 4, and then as soon as I played that first game, I was like, I'm in. And I just spent a fortune just buying all the cards that I wanted for the characters. And yeah, it seems to be like if a game's going to pull you in, Flash and Blood has done a really good job of doing that to a lot of people.
Flesh and Blood for me was, and I think this is true for a lot of people. When I got into Flesh and Blood, for me it was all of the same feelings that I had when I played Magic before that Magic had lost. I guess that's the way to put it. Um,
Yeah.
and so it was kind of like this new exciting thing. I was really into the game from the get go. This is before Arcane Rising even came out, right? Um, and some of content creator friends of mine, I think I've told this story a few times, but some content creator friends of mine did a video on it. This is like um, August. No. It's got to be like November 2019 because I think Flesh and Blood came out in October, um, and they did a couple videos on it, and I'm like, oh, this game looks really really cool. And they were like, hey, this seems right up your alley. You should contact them. They're really cool to content creators. And I was like, sure, give me their email. I'll send them an email. And that's how it started. Like
Oh,
basically,
nice.
I emailed them, and they sent me like a little introductory content creator kit. They sent me an alpha box of Welcome to Wraith, the 4 starter decks, and a couple playmats. Um,
Nice.
and that's how I started playing Flesh and Blood. I did my first opening, pulled a foil E-Strike, foil alpha E-Strike in my first box, which is
Nice.
no cold foil, which is kind of funny. That box had no cold foil
Oh,
in it, but did have an alpha E-Strike, which is the foil E-Strike, which is cool. At the time, I didn't even know like, what was any good because I'd never played, and so in the video, I'm like, oh, this card looks like it's a big deal. Like I say it in the
yeah.
video, which I think is kind of funny. I'm like, this card looks like it's a big deal. And then someone in
Yeah.
the comments offered me $60 for it. And I'm like, no. Um, if you're offering me $60 like this, it's probably worth more than that. That's um,
Mm,
tip selling. If you're trying to sell something for a higher price, if someone like, so for example, when I was auctioning that Philosopher's Stone foil from Sorcery, I was auctioning it base level 2 grand. I had multiple people message me and be like, "I'll give you 4K right now for it," and I didn't respond to them. And I'm like, if you're trying to give me 4K right now for an auction, it's probably worth way more than that. Um,
Yeah.
turns out it sold for 8,000. So
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna take your offer, man.
Yeah.
Um,
I've done it not to the same degree, but I've had a couple of my eBay auctions do something similar. I've had offers and I'm like, I'm pretty certain it's worth more than that. So I'm just gonna say no. And then it's gone for way more than what they offered. Yeah.
yeah,
I was they know. These people know.
they're trying to snipe it, and I'm like, I'm smarter than that. I'm not just gonna. No, we're gonna play this out. So anyway, Flesh and Blood. I think Flesh and Blood is the first game I actually spent more than $100 on a single card. When Arcane
Yeah.
Rising came out, I bought one of all of the legendaries, which are now like worth a ton of money. But at the time, they were about $50 to 100 for most of them, except for Arcanite Skullcap, which was about $200 at the time. And I bought one of all of them. So I actually have a full set of Arcane Rising cold foil legendaries from first edition,
Nice.
and that's just because I wanted to build decks, right? That was my whole goal, was to just build all the decks, um, which is a little unfortunate because I wanted to do that for the new set Arcane Rising, and I didn't really go back and do that for Welcome to Wraith. I do have a cold foil tunic, which I opened. I opened up a cold foil tunic from
Nice.
a random box that I bought on eBay for $80, which is pretty good.
Awesome.
Um, but yeah, I didn't go back and then buy all the WTR ones. I was planning on doing that, and then everything just spiked right around Crucible of War, and I remember I was bidding on an auction for a Mask of Momentum, and at the time this was the only version of Mask of Momentum. Right there's no Rainbow Foil, there's no Unlimited at the time. It's just first edition. That's all alpha. That's all that exists. And so Mask of Momentums at the time were going for about $120, and I was bidding on an eBay auction, and I think I set my max bid to like 110 or something like that. I'm like, I'm not going to pay with 120. If I was going to do that, I would just buy it off a TCG Player or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and I got sniped at like the last moment, and I lost out on the Mask Momentum, which is my biggest bummer because I really like Mask Momentum, and now I don't want to spend like 3 grand or whatever the hell
I'd
it is.
say a lot more than
Yeah,
120.
yeah, but it's all like hindsight, right? You never know things are gonna go crazy like that, especially
That's
like
it.
it was a small indie game. Almost no one knew about it at the time. This is before Channel Fireball did content on it. This is before like anyone really talked about it or picked it up, and then it just kind of blew up overnight, and
Yeah.
it got crazy. Um,
Yeah. Like, yeah, it did. Like, I don't know where it even came from. Like, I know I saw Team Covenant do a video, and then I was just like, oh, yeah, that's cool. And then just a random email update. Oh, we're getting this game, and if anybody wants it, it's like, oh, yeah, I'll just buy stuff. Like, a big part of me wishes I hadn't opened the starter decks because them now are like expensive.
yeah, I have all of the original starters back on the
Yeah.
shelf here that they sent me, that
Yeah.
Alice sent me.
I really
Yeah.
wish I didn't open mine. I actually got um so I only originally ordered Bravo, Dorinthia, and Rhino.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't order Katsu, not a ninja guy, not really my thing. Um and then I saw the prices going up. I was like, oh man, you know what? I wish I bought a Katsu deck. And then I actually found one on a UK website when they were all skyrocketing in price for £9. I was like,
Yeah.
buy. So I bought it. And of course, because I'm a fool, I opened it.
Yeah.
Should have shoved it on a shelf and just, you stay there, you'll be fine. But yeah, I wish I'd not opened them now. But yeah, it's such a great game. I'd like to rewind just a little bit, actually,
Yeah.
because we you have actually answered a couple of my questions already, which is kind of
Oh,
cool.
okay, cool.
Because I was going to say you're doing it full time. That was one of my next questions, and because
Yeah,
I'm
I
sure
can
as
I
mentioned you
can
were doing it full time.
I can shortcut that to just kind of get to the specifics. I've been full
Yeah.
time for a little over a year, going on 2 years.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
a lot of folks ask me like, "Oh, what was the subscriber count that made you do full time?" That's not a thing, right? Like, I don't get very much money from YouTube. One of my favorite content creators, actually a UK-based content creator, Pleasant Kenobi.
Mm.
I've met him in real life. He's a nice dude. got drunk and talked about Warhammer 40K until like 2 a.m. before. Um,
Nice.
but he put out a video talking about, like, very transparent. This is the money I'm making on YouTube, and I can be very transparent on that too. I make only about $300 to maybe 4 or 5 a month
Oh,
on YouTube, if it's a good month, right? If I'm getting up to like 100,000 views on a month, it'll be closer to the 500. Um,
damn.
so the way I was able to do full time is not just from YouTube subscribers and views. It's because, one, the audience out there is awesome, and they support me on Patreon. So it's a mix between YouTube ad revenue, Patreon. I do semi-weekly videos for Channel Fireball. Also, it's Channel Fireball, but it's actually TCG Player. TCG Player owns Channel Fireball now.
Oh, okay.
So it's actually been doing videos for TCG Player, but they put the videos on the Channel Fireball thing. So I do paid videos for that. Then I have my merch store, which does pretty well. Every time I do a new product, the new product always does really well, and then the sales just kind of peter down until I have a new product, and then sales go back up. It's kind of like this ebb and flow kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, and then what is the other source? Basically, my point here is that I'm able to do it because I have multiple revenue sources that
Okay.
all add up to more money than I was making working retail management, which was my job before. I worked
Okay.
at a healthy pet food store here in Portland, Oregon. It's like a West Coast United States chain called Mud Bay that focuses on healthy pet stuff. So we do everything from, like, your typical kibble, but it has to be like high quality kibble, no byproduct. Uh, you know, we had a couple other things: no soy, no corn, um, but all the way to raw food, um, and everything in between. Right? We wanted to. It's healthy pet stuff, but we wanted it to be affordable for people too. It was a good company. It was employee owned. I had like employee
Nice.
stock. I worked there for a number of years, and I was a manager there. But like the thing for me to going full time is I wanted to be making at least as much as I was making at my current job,
Yeah.
so I could still help pay
I
bills,
say pay
right?
your bills. Yeah.
Right. 'Cause my partner Robin, she has a way better job than I ever had. She made a lot more than I do. Even now, she gets paid a lot more than I do. But I still, it's big for me that I contribute, that I pull my weight in the
Yeah.
thing. So, like, I want to pay my part. So um, that was big for me. I wanted to be able to do that. And one month, I was kind of fed up at work for a number of reasons. Um, and this is still a good company, but it's retail. Retail sucks just in general. I have
Yeah.
many condolences for folks out there in, like, service and retail jobs. I've been there for many years. Um, but I did the math, and it's like, hey, I'm actually making more now, um, doing this. So if I dedicate more time, I can grow the channel even more. This is right around, I was 10K, maybe a little bit under 10K subs. Um, and I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna put in my 2 weeks notice, and we're just gonna give it a shot. And I have so many revenue sources that if one of them collapses, I'll still be able to pay the bills, right? So if
It's good.
TCG Player suddenly is just like, you're done, I'll still be able to pay the bills. If Patreon, if everyone decides to hate me, for whatever reason, I'll still be able to work. Um, but Patreon's a big part of it, actually. But
Mm.
Patreon's an interesting thing because I put a lot of money into the Patreon. I put a lot of money into the channel. That's the other thing too. Like, it's not just like raking in money.
No, it's investment, isn't it?
I put a lot of money into the channel. Like,
Yeah.
I wrote off like 8 grand in art commissions last year,
Wow.
on my taxes, because I commission all the art from, like, Flesh and Blood artists or anime artists that work on games that I like, because I want the quality to be up there. And anyone knows, and any good commission piece of artwork for commercial uses is going to run between $1,000 to $2,000, um, depending on the art piece. So yeah, so I
Nice.
put a lot into it, um, and I get back a little bit more than I put into it. So I, not in, not actively losing money, earning a little bit of money. So that's the whole thing with the full time thing. It's not easy, uh, and I work more now than when I did working a 40-hour retail job
Mm.
because I'm working all the time. And if I feel personally, I feel like if I'm not working, if I'm just kind of like piddling around with video games or whatever, then I'm like, I could be putting this time into the channel, growing it and doing better. And
Yeah.
unfortunately for me, sometimes, most of the time, that's my mentality. So I rarely take days off, except for yesterday. Baldur's Gate 3 came out yesterday, and I spent 9 hours 9 hours playing it. So I did do that. Did take a day off, but
Gotta take time off, man. So even doing something like this, which to
oh,
quote as is always like a passion project, isn't it? It's always got
I
to be.
I didn't mention the other things. There's two other
Oh.
things because you said something like this. The casting and commentary gigs, uh,
Mm.
as well as like paid sponsored videos and consultant work. So those are the other directly paid things that help. I didn't include those because those aren't really like monthly things. Those are just random things that happen,
Mm.
right? Like I do get paid well for do casting and coverage. And then sometimes I get paid to do sponsored videos. Legend Story Studios paid me to make a few videos for their skirmish season. They're up on their website. I got as
Yeah, yeah, the videos with the
Bill.
decks and then updated
Yep,
them after. Yeah, yeah, I watched them.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. Yeah, so obviously they paid me to do those,
Okay,
and then
that's
I
good.
then I in turn paid my guests because I didn't want my guests to just be there. So I actually paid as Bill and Steven Diamorata
Oh,
to do those.
nice.
They probably wouldn't have asked me to, but I wanted to pay them. Um, and then um, and then I've done consulting work for some card games, which is
Okay.
great. Consulting work is the best because um, I just join a call like this, and then we talk about their game, and then I give them ideas and advice about what I see going on in the industry and what I see with their game and concerns, and um, that's the best because I just get paid for my time, and I don't have to like put in like you know a ton into it. So
Ah,
that those are the best.
okay.
And then yeah, I also did a sponsored video. So the coolest part about this for me personally is I get to work with companies that I never thought I'd work with before. So um, Bandai paid me to do a Battle Spirit Saga video. So the Battle Spirit Saga video that I put out, the What is Battle Spirit Saga and
Mm.
how to play, Bandai approached me and they're like, "Hey, we'd like you to do a sponsored thing."
Nice.
And I'm gonna have more sponsored things with other big name companies that aren't Bandai or Flesh and Blood and stuff coming up very soon. I'm not sure when this video is
Mm.
coming out, so or when this podcast is coming out. So we'll see.
If so we're recording on the 4th. It will probably be the 7th.
Okay.
So a couple
Pro-
of days.
Okay, probably not out yet then. But yeah, I'm doing like some
Yeah.
more sponsored stuff with some
Oh, nice.
like bigger companies. So yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry to
Mm.
cut you off mid
No,
sentence,
no,
but
no, it's fine. Hey, you know what?
those all add up too.
I'm here to learn as much as I can. Um, Red Zone Rogue, where does that come from?
Ah, yes. This is probably less interesting than you would
Ah.
expect. So what happened? So it's when I was making a card game channel. So before Red Zone Rogue, I actually had a video game channel where I did like video game let's plays and reviews. I have a couple of videos that did pretty well. That had like I don't know 50, 60,000 views. Um, but the channel really never took off, and card gaming is more my passion than video gaming. And I saw like an opportunity to do videos about card games that I really like that aren't being covered a lot. So when I set out to do Red Zone Rogue, I wanted to make the name pretty generic, right? I didn't want it to
Okay.
be like, MTG head, zone, MTG, central or whatever. I didn't want to be like Magic specific. I didn't want to be any
Yeah.
specific thing. Um, and so I wanted to. The first game that I was going to cover is a game called Force of Will because I was enjoying Force of Will at the time. It just come out, and
Oh,
I was like, okay, I'm going to cover this. And so I was like, okay, what kind of name do I want? And I made maybe a list of like 20 names. Um, and I really like alliteration. So Red Zone Rogue was one of the ones on there. There was also like um, Draw Three. I think there was like three card gaming. Like there's a bunch of stuff that I just like
mm.
from Magic. So like Draw Three is a reference to Ancestral Recall, which is a spell that lets you draw three cards. Um,
Pot of
Um,
greed.
yeah, yeah. But I decided Red Zone Rogue for a couple of different reasons. One, the alliteration is really good. Um, two, it's a combination of two kind of like deep cut card gamery terms, right? So the red zone refers to like, the combat area. People say like, oh, you get into the red zone. It's something that I've heard people use in Magic and some other card games as well.
Okay.
And then rogue is multiple things. I'm a big fan of just the rogue archetype in Dungeons and Dragons, and it was the class that I mained in World of Warcraft. And it's just I have a huge connection to like the rogue assassin archetype in a lot of stuff.
Nice.
But also, it's a card gaming term that means off meta decks, right? You're a
Yeah.
rogue deck is an off meta deck. Um, so I the two together, they're two card gaming terms, and there's the alliteration, and then the rogue also had like, it meant something to me personally,
Hmm,
and
nice.
that's what I went with. Yeah,
I feel that's cool though. You know what I mean? Like you said, something generic is good because then you, like you said, you're not putting yourself into a pigeonhole.
yeah,
I mean, Big Boss Book Club, you can't get much more off tilt than that.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I
and that was a joke. That was that from my last workplace. That was just a joke I came up with. That confused a girl I worked with, and I was just like, "Do you know what? That's what I'm going to call my podcast." It's just like
okay,
that was literally
yeah,
it. It's just this off tilt joke. Um, um, uh, and yeah, so but yeah, don't can't pigeonhole me. Like we were looking at doing some like flesh and blood centric stuff, and it was like, well, is Big Boss Book Club really right for it? I'm like, yeah, 'cause it's my show.
yeah. So like the idea behind that is that this is always the idea behind it. And I've been watching YouTube for, I don't know, ever, since like 2005, 2006. Um, and one thing that I've seen from YouTubers that I liked, especially like a lot of like the gaming YouTubers, a lot of the people I like are like what you'd call like a variety YouTuber, right? So I'm a big fan of
Mm,
a Canadian YouTuber called Northern Lion, and he just punts out a bunch of different games. He'll focus on one game for a little while, but then he'll pivot to another game, and he'll just do a bunch of stuff, mostly indie games and just stuff that he really likes.
cool.
And but what really sells his channel is his personality and his wit. And when making a channel, I was like, okay, well, I want the same kind of deal. Like, I want people to watch the channel as much for me as the games that I'm covering. Um, and so, like, that means if I pivot to a different game, if I find something interesting, people will still watch it and not be like, this isn't X game. I don't want to watch. Like, what are you doing? I don't want to watch it anymore. And that was a big thing. That's the thing that I thought about from the start. Um, and Yeah, it depends on what you want to do. If you want to like hyper focus on one thing, that is beneficial. Like YouTube rewards channels for doing the same thing over and over and over. Like that's just how YouTube works, and that's how the algorithm works.
Yeah.
So it's much more difficult to do like a variety kind of thing, especially in card gaming. Doesn't exist all that much. There's a couple people out there who do it well. There's Team Covenant. There's a guy called Kodak. But outside of that, there's not a ton. There's not a ton. Even though my channel is primarily flesh and blood, um, I think I've more or less successfully got to the point where I can talk about almost any card game, and the videos still do decently well. They won't do as well as my flesh and blood videos, but that's to be expected. Um,
Yeah.
so like, yeah, that's one of the things that's always been like a focus on it, and it was reinforced maybe like few months ago when I was chatting with Brian, the professor, and he was saying that he really envied that I'm able to just do whatever I feel like whatever game I feel like, because he feels that he is very, very pigeonholed into Magic, which is
Magic.
true.
Yeah.
He is. And the thing is he's very successful at it. He's the biggest Magic YouTuber, but his problem comes from he's so successful that he has staff, right? He has to pay. He has people he has to pay. He has writers.
Mm,
He has editors. He has like literally staff that works in his studio. He's local to me. He's a personal friend of mine.
mm.
And I've been to his studio more than a few times. Probably like
Oh, nice.
once a month ish or so. We uh, play like be a part of his game night kind of thing. It's been a little
Cool.
while since. But anyway, um, my point is that even folks that are his level of success, they find it really hard to do variety content, and that's
Mm.
because he needs the videos to do well so he can pay the people that are his
Yeah.
staff, right? And so if he puts out a video on some random card game and no one watches it, that's really bad for him because he put a lot of money into making the video. He paid his editors, he paid his writers, and if the video bombs, well, then you're not
Yeah.
getting the money back.
Yeah.
Um,
It's income, isn't
so,
it?
but I'm just me for my channel. I do everything. I literally do everything, editing, everything. So it's not as big of a hit for me if the video underperforms. Um,
Mm. Yeah, but if you've got, like you said, if you've got a whole team of people, they are reliant on you performing well, then
yeah.
yeah, it becomes a bit more of a, well, do I risk doing this sorcery TCG video? Do I
Well,
risk, doing it?
and the other thing is, like I mentioned earlier, um, YouTube ad revenue isn't that big of a part of my monthly
No.
paycheck. And so, like, if a video doesn't do as well, it's not as big of a hit on me as something like like a would be for a bigger channel.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, still, I still do get bummed if a video does not do very very well. For me, and in about like the first 24 to 48 hours, 1,000 views is like baseline. If it's under 1,000 views in the first couple days, that's bad. That means it bombed for me.
Okay.
So like,
Is it per thousand? Is it per thousand you get? I'm sure, as mentioned, said it was per thousand when me and him talked about it. It's like per
so
thousand views you get X amount, like a dollar or whatever it is.
it's so not really. It's a little more
No.
complicated than that.
Okay.
It's all based on your, I think it's called CPM, your ad revenue, like your ad. It's like views per how many times people view the ads on your video. Okay, so
Okay.
that's basically how it goes. So like, say for example, if you're watching a video that's like 2 hours long and it's got like 5 ads in it or something like that, and everyone watches all 5 ads, you're gonna get way more views or way more money than if someone watches a 20-minute video that has like 1 ad in it, right? Um, you
Okay.
really want you get paid how many times people see the ads. Um,
Hmm.
Not a lot, by the way. It's like fractions of a penny
Uh-huh.
per thing. So like I said, for me, I'm making like for like a month that I have like 100,000 views total, it's probably like $500. So
Okay.
you can, I mean, like I can look at my thing right now.
Yikes.
I can see, I
Yikes.
can see how I'm doing right now. Right now, YouTube also ebb and flows. Sometimes you'll have months that are like awesome, and then you'll be followed up by an average month, and it'll make it seem like you're doing horribly because YouTube is like, you're doing worse than last month. Um, Currently, I'm doing pretty well.
They do the
So
thumbs down and everything. They send you like a little thumbs down image, like,
it's like
oh,
down arrows, yeah.
oh,
So currently, it's doing fairly well. I have let me just shortcut it. I have 75,000 views in the last 28 days, and then that's about $330 estimated ad revenue,
wow.
with about 12,000 hours of watch time. So that's
That's insane, isn't it, really?
yeah.
That is
So you need to
insane.
be to be like full time only through YouTube. You have to be pumping out like
Mm.
videos every day, and those videos need to be like 10,000 plus
Hitting.
views. Like
I
yeah.
did an interview with Dennis Kagani from Kagani
Mm,
Gaming, and I know most of his from YouTube anyway. It's his Yu-Gi-Oh videos that get him the most um, coverage views. And I know he would much rather be doing Flesh and Blood as but he said he can't, with the views that Yu-Gi-Oh gets him, he can't afford to lose that that level
the
of income.
I'm stubborn.
Yeah.
I will not. If something's doing well, but I don't want talk about it, I'm not going to talk about it. I don't. I'm not the kind of person to like chase whatever's the most popular or fads or
Mm.
whatever. I'm just going to do what I want, and hopefully, I've structured the channel enough in a way so that people will also like the things that I'm interested in. That's kind of the goal here. So it's like if I'm not feeling it, I'm just not going to make a video about it. And so like this might surprise you, but my three most popular videos on my channel have nothing to do with Flesh and Blood. In fact,
Oh, really?
one, two, three, four, five. The top five have two of them have to do with Flesh and Blood, but they're tangentially. So my number one video is Arkham Horror solo Let's Play. Um, I played Jenny Barnes through the introductory campaign
Ooh, nice.
solo. That video has 61,000 views. My second most popular is the best TCGs in 2021, new, current, and retro games. Um,
Nice.
that's two years ago. That has also 60,000 views. My number three, also Arkham Horror, how to start playing Arkham Horror, the card game in 2020. That has 33,000 views. That I made
Nice.
3 years ago. It's funny, when I published that video, it was like one of the lowest watched videos, but I thought to myself, this is a video that should get traction over time because this is the kind of video that people will type into the search bar and they'll see pop up and they'll be like, oh, okay, cool. Um, then my fourth most, I'm not going to
Yeah,
go over all
awesome.
of them, but my fourth most
No,
is
no.
important because that is my first interview with the professor
Okay.
2 years ago. That is actually when, more or less, when I first met him. So I've known him for about a little over 2 years. So he and I have
Okay.
been pretty good friends. A little over 2 years. He lives locally. And that one has 30,000. And then this is probably my favorite one because this one is only 6 months old. This is my top five new TCGs of 2023 video. And that one is 24,000 views. And then after that, we actually have our first, like, how to start playing Flesh and Blood. That one's 22K. Then how to start play, or how to play Wii Cross, 20K. And then oddly enough, my Monarch. Then we start getting into a lot of Flesh and Blood stuff. We have
Uh,
Monarch,
yeah.
Blitz starter decks, how to start playing Flesh and Blood, updated version, Tales of Aria Blitz starter decks. We have a Force of Will video. Then we have Professor again, Draw My Deck Tech, how to start playing Battle Spirit Saga. That was the one that Bandai sponsored. So yeah, but yeah, my top three are two Arkham Horror games, um,
Nice.
and I feel that most people would see that and be like, oh, I need to just make a ton of Arkham Horror videos, but that's just not how I work. Um,
No.
I love Arkham Horror, by the way. I'm a huge fan of Arkham Horror. It's one of my most fun games to play with my partner. Um,
That
we've
is
played almost every campaign. I own all of them.
okay.
We played almost all of them and completed almost all of them. But the problem is making content for Arkham is just kind of fiddly, and it's not the same as like a card like a TCG, right? Like that very.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know how to put it. Like I don't know. It's just more fiddly than
It was
TCG.
actually next question is how you getting on with Arkham Horror. Um,
Oh yeah, it's great.
I 'Cause obviously we spoke a couple of times on your Discord about it because me and my we haven't played him since last year. I think we finished up. What did we finish up? What was the last
So
campaign?
there's
We
the three newest campaigns are Innsmouth, Mountains of Madness. They might have called it something else, but it's basically Mountains of
yeah
Madness. And then there's the new one that's like Red something.
yeah the Red Conspiracy or something that's called, isn't it?
Yeah, so I
The
own
Innsmouth is what we finished.
same. So Innsmouth is the last one that we finished as well. We started the other one, the Mountains of Madness one, but like one of the things is like super long, and it stops you partway through based on something that happened, and you have to
Yeah.
continue. And then we just didn't have time for it, like to finish it. So we're like, okay, well we'll do it again later, and then we just never did it again. We got
See.
busy. The table in the game room got piled up with a bunch of shit because I got some new prod I got some new play mats and sleeves, so I just had that on there. And then Robin was doing like an art project, and so like we just yeah
I've stopped. So I stopped at Innsmouth. I said
yeah
I will still get the standalones and I will buy the return twos for the campaigns that I have.
yeah
Um, but we've got one quarter of our playgroup moved to Canada.
okay
So it's like makes it pretty difficult to play. Um, uh, it was kind of like, oh, I could easily fill the table seat. You know what I mean? I could fill the seat, not a problem. I've got like a queue of people wanting to like jump in the group, but I was like, oh, I don't know. Something felt kind of wrong about it, and I was like, we've not played any of the return twos. We're just chugging through campaigns. We've still got a load of standalones to play. It's like I've still not played the Blob that ate everything. Still got that to
Oh
play.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
That's pretty fun.
it looks awesome. We've got the War of the Outer Gods. Not played that yet.
I haven't
Um,
played it either. I own all of them except for the werewolf one. I don't have the werewolf standalone one.
oh,
The Lugaroo one.
yeah, the Ruguru. That was the first one, wasn't it? Yeah, I've got
Yeah.
that. Um, the last one we played was the standalones was the Hotel Excelsior, which is
Oh, that one's sweet, dude.
phenomenal.
I've played through
Um,
that one. That's the only one that I've actually played through like multiple times. I think we've played through that
yeah,
one 4 or 5 times, just
uh,
because it's always a different
it's, the replay
always a
value
different
on it's
thing.
immense, isn't it?
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. Someone someone from the Mythos Busters podcast was on the design team for that.
Hmm,
Um,
that was yeah.
so that was pretty sweet to hear. Um, but yeah, that was the last one I played, and the last we finished Innsmouth, and it was like we'll start back up again. And then my friend was like, "Oh no," because it was all very snap. It's like, "Oh, I'm going to Canada." It's like, "Oh, are you? Okay, bye then."
Yeah.
And he's there now, playing on the Xbox, from all I can tell. So yeah, it's not really had the chance to do it. I haven't had a chance to sit and play solo, so it's kind of just like, you know what, I'm not buying any more. They've just announced a new set today
Oh,
as
really?
well. Yeah,
Hmm.
um, I had the
It is
name in my
Gen
head
Con.
because
That
it's a
makes
really
sense.
weird name. They revealed the
Ooh, hold on.
Rogue and
Uh,
Seeker, I think.
Feast of Hemlock Vale.
Hemlock, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um.
so they've already
So,
announced the next one.
oh, interesting. The Feast of Hemlock Vale. So, my involvement with this game, even though I haven't played it in a little while, is that I have the Team Covenant subscription for Arkham Horror.
Oh
That's
yeah,
that's the only one that I have recurring, and I never canceled that one. So yeah,
you'll
there's
get that
that.
then.
Yeah, it just shows up. That's my
Spoiler
best.
alert, you've got something coming soon.
Yeah, yeah, which is cool. Yeah, so that's what I have for the Arkham Horror. It makes it easy, the Team Covenant thing, and it's like, yeah, we're gonna play it eventually because I play it exclusively with my partner Robin. Um,
Nice.
she likes that kind of stuff. We've also bought and played some of the um, tangential board game stuff around Arkham Horror.
Okay.
So, Mansions of Madness is really good.
Nice.
Um, so we played that one as well. And then other games similar along that vein, like Betrayal at House on the Hill, all that kind of stuff. She likes the dark, murdery things
I
stuff.
see.
So
I
yeah,
tried to convince my missus to play it. None of it. None of
yeah,
it at all. And it's right up her alley. She actually loves like I don't like horror films. I don't do horror. I don't do I do Saw. That's as far as I'm willing to
okay.
go. I
Hey,
don't do
if,
Saw
if you like
X10 coming
if
out.
you like if you like the first two Saw films, I actually met the director of photography for both of those movies. He's
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, his name's David Armstrong. He's the DP for the first
Yeah.
couple Saw films. So basically, the reason why everything looks the way it does, how everything is shot the way it is, it's all him, including like a lot of the practical effects. I went to
Nice.
I went to school for I went to the University of Oregon, but my major was film and cinema. So like
Okay.
I actually got to meet a decent number of like folks from the industry, um, including the DP for the Saw films, which is pretty rad. The guy was pretty
Nice.
cool. You could tell he was like a metalhead kind of guy. Yeah, he had like just kind of like chill vibes coming off on. Um,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, I do. One of the reasons why I really enjoyed Labyrinth of Lunacy
Mm,
was because it was like it's Saw in Arkham Horror. It's
yeah.
like let's do this, and Yeah, I love the Saw films. I don't even know why, because I hate gore, I hate blood, I hate I hate I hate horror films in general. Like I just do not like them. My missus loves them, absolutely loves it. I just make sure I'm out that night.
Yeah.
And I'm like, come on, this is literally a horror based board game. It should be right up your alley. No, no.
See
Ah,
what
okay.
what sold it for Robin is one, it's cooperative. We do not have to play against each other. Um, I with a small, I guess a small amount of ego, I could say I'm pretty good at games, and she does not like playing me in games. Um, I usually
Fair.
win, and she's the kind of person who like she doesn't want me to go easy on her. Like she can tell. So
Ah,
like cooperative is good. So it's cooperative, and then I was like, hey, we're like solving like a mystery together. It's like you don't have to fight. Like she doesn't like she's not an aggressive person. She doesn't like fighting and stuff. So I'm like, you don't have to fight in the game either. You can be the person to like get the clues. Like you don't have to
yeah,
necessarily
Seeker.
like
Yeah.
fight stuff. Um, or you can do like other stuff and yeah, so that was the big selling point for her. I'm like, it's a cooperative thing. We're solving like a mystery, and
Yeah.
it's not all about fighting. And yeah,
Do you play the rogues?
um, I go between the archetypes. Honestly, the last one I played a super kind of overpowered. I think her name is Akechi. Um,
Yes. The
I,
Mystic.
Yeah, she cares about like charge counters on things, and
Yeah.
then you can. So I put a bunch of stuff that really synergize with that, and like I said, I own all of the cards, and so like I just made. She was like busted as hell. Like she can do some crazy damage and some absolutely crazy stuff. I had to kind of set it up. Like there's a couple cards I needed to set up to make it
Yeah.
to work, but like there's like this dagger that you can use to like give you plus on these. I don't know. It was very
Yeah.
strong. Typically, when we play, uh, Robin and I talk over like what we're going to be playing, and
Okay.
we want each person to be okay at everything, but it's good to focus a lot in one respect, um, because like we're only two people, and so like if it's a scenario when it's good to split up. Um, you don't want to be like if you have to fight a monster, you don't want to be completely worthless and just die to
No.
whatever like little crap dude you have to fight. On
Yeah.
the other side, you also if it's a mission where you have to investigate things and you have to get those rolls off. We just call them by the items like the book rolls. If you need if it's
Oh
one where you have to
yeah.
get a lot of book rolls, um, then you don't want to be like completely crap at that either. Uh,
No.
so so basically, I focused. That one was on killing things, but also like still good on like a couple other fronts. And then her character was more focused on like getting clues and stuff, um,
Nice.
with a lot of direct clue acquisition without having to do the investigate rolls because there's a bunch of cards that let you do that just snatch up the clues.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. Oh, I miss Arkham Horror so much.
it's fun, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great game.
We we have never failed a campaign. In fact, like we have only ever lost maybe like one or two missions ever.
Okay.
Um, so we're like I said, I like card games, and I tend to be pretty good at card games, and so
Mm,
I I help her with stuff, but not a ton. Like Robin makes her own deck, and she upgrades her own cards with her points and whatever.
cool.
Um,
Like that.
and
See, got to a point in my group where because I'm the one who had all the cards,
mm,
everyone would just be like, you know what this hero's trying to do. You go ahead and upgrade everyone. So I'd always try and be like, okay, what does this guy want to do? Okay, let's tank him up. Or oh, she wants to be doing this. Let's do that. And
yeah,
yeah, it sometimes it almost came a little bit of a chore at a couple of points. So I was like, oh, come on, guys, can't you guys just look through the folder and
yeah.
pick,
There,
pick your own cards?
basically what happens is Robin and I each pick a character that we just like. Like we don't really start with like power level in mind. We just pick a character that we just like. And so the other two, oh, it's been so long since I played. Um, what's his name? There's what's his name? Diamond, something Diamond. He's like the
Oh,
private
Joe
investigator.
Diamond.
Joe
Joe
Diamond's
Diamond.
Joe Diamond's
S-
legit. There's
That's how
also
Canada. My mate who'd gone to Canada. That was his favorite investigator. It's like literally every campaign is like. As soon as he played him for the first time, it was like, "That's the only investigator I want to play as. I want the hunch deck. I want to be just getting those random hunch cards and just be playing it.
yeah,
That's it."
Joe Diamond was sweet. I love characters and classes that have extra decks too. Like there's a couple
Mm,
you get extra decks or extra cards. Um, there's a couple cards I like putting in my deck almost every single time, which is probably not great that I put them in. But there's a couple like the mirror. I put the mirror in a lot of the decks. Um, the mirror is the one that like shuffles the three
the Hallowed
things into
Mirror.
your deck. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then there's the skull. I put the skull in a lot of the decks. The crystallizer of dreams. Is that what it's
Oh
called?
yeah, yeah. The Crystallizer of Dreams. Yeah, you get
I
the
put that.
the bad guys then, don't you? The
Yeah, but it's
brands or
like
whatever they're
just
called.
let you get like these free card plays. Oh, it's sweet. And then there's the other one. It's the book. It's the book that shuffles the three spells into your deck that either let you draw two. I think it's like you draw two, and then if you discard two, you can pick something and deal damage to it. I can't remember the name of it's called, but it's a book that
I
lets you
know what
do
you
that.
mean. The name's eluded me, but I do know what you mean.
I
Yeah,
like.
that's a
I,
sinker card, isn't it?
yeah, it
Yeah.
is. Yeah, yeah. So I like. There's a couple cards that I just like really like and put them in almost all my decks.
Uh,
Um, there's another guy that's kind of like Joe Diamond. That's a rogue, I think. I'll have to see. It's been so long.
I love the road class. The road class is definitely what drew me when I was first looking at the game when it was being revealed and cards were being shown and stuff. Schizo Tool was definitely the character that made me go, two resources, gain an action point. Here I come.
Yeah,
Um, it's like, yeah, that's what I'm going for. I love it. It's the Rogue Heroes. You said there about Jenny Barnes, your video playing
yeah.
Jenny Barnes solo. Jenny Barnes solo is the like if you want to play a solid anything. Jenny Barnes is the hero you probably the
You,
detective investigator you probably want to be playing.
you take like Lone Wolf. It just gets great. You just take all the
Yeah,
things. Like if you're playing by yourself, yeah, it's solid.
we would talk about this when we were still playing. It's like whoever said money can't sort of solve your problems has never played Arkham Horror. Because
Right?
literally, if
Yeah.
you're playing as Jenny Barnes, or you're playing as Preston, just throw money at the problem, and it will probably go away. Which is
Trying to find the other rogue guy. Ah, well, I'll think of him like.
there's like a PI.
Yeah, yeah.
I
That's
think
the
in
guy.
that
He's
isn't there? It's,
he's got
you
like
can
guns in the
choose.
art.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can choose one of three factions to go in it. I think you can choose Seeker, Survivor, and Guardian. Because I played him as Guardian because he's got like an attack value of 5. So you're like, yeah,
Yes.
that'll do.
Yes. Anyway.
I can't
Anyway.
remember his name. Um, you've always sort of gone into sort of hobbies outside TCGs. Kind of touched on it a bit with music and
Oh yeah.
video games as well.
I don't do the music as much anymore, which is kind of
Oh,
unfortunate. I still have my guitars and stuff, but it's been since like high school, college since I did that,
ah.
which now is a long time because I'm like mid 30s, right?
Yeah,
Um,
I'm 36 myself, so I'm
yeah.
like
I
pushing it and I can't let go.
outside of card games, really, it's just the occasional video game if I get time. Um, what else? I mean, I read stuff
Cool.
every now and then, novels, manga. Yeah. Um, most of my time is put into the channel and into card games. I currently play 3 card games, and by play I mean like actively play and have decks for. If
Okay.
you're talking about card games that I'm just into, there's probably like 5. Um, but actively play, there's Flesh and Blood, Shadowverse, and Grand Archive are the big ones for me right now.
Okay.
Um,
What happened
with
to Final
with
Fantasy?
Final Fantasy's pretty good. I think the gameplay is good, but there's a couple reasons why I don't cover it on the channel, and then also um, the art is hit and miss. Like some of the cards look great, and some of the cards do not look great. So
Mm.
they they commit some of what I would call my like cardinal sins, and that is like using screenshot artwork, especially like
Yeah.
the low res polygon artwork of like old Final Fantasy card games, um, which is one of the reasons why I actually don't like the One Piece TCG very much. The
Okay.
game itself is fine, but half the cards look like, I don't know if you like swearing on your podcast, so they don't look great. Put it that way.
Yeah. Generally keep it PG. Generally,
Yeah, yeah,
um, but it's fine. Oh, if you do it so many times, I'll be like, but no, it's
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
My mate Martin, he's yeah, like a trucker. And it's like he'll look at me and I'm like, stop swearing, dude.
Well, it, in like casual setting, I swear kind of like a pirate.
Yeah, me too,
I
to
do
be
swear,
honest with you.
quite a bit, but part of just being in broadcasting in general, I know how to speak, um, in such a way that it's appropriate, um, for everyone. It's also the way that I would speak around like I'd consider polite company, like
Yeah,
my parents or like my girlfriend's parents or whatever. Um, yeah, there's
yeah,
different ways you speak around different people.
yeah. So my eldest son's 3, and he is obviously at a point where he is picking up a lot of language now,
Oh yeah.
and he knows from repeating bad language that we don't swear, and it's naughty. You shouldn't say it. And we were in the car. I was just driving, and this woman driver in front. I think it was like a little old deer. Just stopped her car randomly. Like there was nothing there. She was clearly looking for somewhere, looking for something. And I'm like, and I'm effing and jeffing and
Yeah, yeah.
everything. And all I hear is my little lad in the back go, "Daddy, don't say that. That's naughty." And I turned and looked at him
uh,
and I went, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry, little man. I'm so sorry. Daddy didn't mean it. Daddy's just the driver in front is being silly. He's being naughty. So he's like, don't say that. It's naughty. And I'm like, do you know what? I think we'll be okay.
yeah, yeah.
It's just like I think we'll be all right with this one. Um, what are the goals for um, Red Zone Rogue
Mhm.
as a brand? Are there any goals you want to attain, or where are you at the moment?
Yeah. I have some hard goals and some like very nebulous goals. The nebulous goals are kind of like a constant on the channel. It's always been like the goal from day one, and that's basically I just want to share my love of card games with people. Um, I didn't make the channel to get popular. I like I said, I started talking about Force of Will, right? I specifically wanted to cover card games that weren't being talked about by a lot of other folks, right? I'm not here to do Magic or Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh content just for the
Mm.
views. I'm here to talk about games that I'm genuinely loving and genuinely care about. And for that, my goal is for those is to just get more people into these games that I really really love. And so like when I put out a video about Flesh and Blood or whatever, there'll be a certain topic, but overall the goal is just to get more people into the game and more people to play it, or just to like provide feedback and try to make the game as good as it could possibly be. Um, that's the general idea for a lot of the videos. Just kind of like sharing my love and my passion for card games. Sometimes they're like videos, one-off videos, checking out a new thing or whatever, talking about whatever I think is like interesting or maybe worthwhile to talk about. Um, so yeah, that's just kind of like the general goal, just to get more people to play the games that I really like, or to check them out. Um, the hard goals are just things that I like to set for myself. I find it valuable just in life to have goals for
Mm.
yourself, and to have something to work towards. Um, and me, I'm a pretty hard worker when it comes down to stuff. Like, I play games a lot of the times in a fairly casual manner these days. I don't, I'm not a tournament grinder or something, but I take things seriously. I say I'm not a casual person in that when I get into something, I really get into something. Like, I'm in. And so, for my channel, my current goal is just a one of those number things. It's just 20,000 subscribers. That's just kind of like
Cool.
my current goal. I set the goal to do 25,000 this year. Um, we'll see. We'll see if we get there. We're almost up to 17, um, and pretty close to 17 actually. We'll definitely hit 17K this month. But yeah, that's just kind of like the personal goal that I've kind of set for
Nice.
myself. The big YouTube goal for every YouTuber, I guess, if you want to make it into a thing, is the first big milestone is 100K, because at 100K that's when YouTube actually sends you something. They send you the silver play button at 100,000.
Oh wow,
Um,
I didn't know that actually. That's news
yeah,
to me. That's pretty cool, actually, isn't it? Really.
yeah,
Oh
and
wow.
yeah, I have no degree of no small degree of pride being able to grow into the size that we are now, covering exclusively like non-big three games. Right? I've maybe
Mm.
done a handful of videos about Magic, maybe one or two about Pokemon, and then maybe one about Yu-Gi-Oh. I think I made a video when I found my old deck that I mentioned earlier. I think I made a video about that a while ago. But 99% are like non-big three games, and they're games that I genuinely love and I'm very much enjoying. Which is why, if you look at the channel, you're seeing a lot of Shadowverse content, because I really love Shadowverse right now. It is some of the most fun I'm having playing TCGs. It's so good. Um, so yeah, those are the general goals: get people into the games that I'm playing, grow the community, fostering a good, supportive and welcoming community is also very important to me.
Mm.
And that's just also just another general all the time goal. Um, and
Yeah.
I model that a little bit off of other content creators outside of, well, they kind of do card game stuff. There's some Canadian content creators called Loading Ready Run, and they've done an amazing job fostering like a just an awesome community.
Mm.
And I look to them for inspiration. And yeah, actually, it's funny. I model a lot of the. I don't want to say model. I get a lot of ideas and take a lot of inspiration from non TCG YouTubers. I
Okay.
don't necessarily like take a lot from TCG YouTubers, which is, I don't know, maybe that's why I do well. I don't know.
See, I, mm, I always have a real problem with the word community. I'm always really weird about it. Me and As were talking about this ages ago, and uh, I always feel like the community is more um, like a smaller net. Like, so community in the sense of flesh and blood community, I completely like disagree with it as like a term. I understand it, but I'm always like, it's not really, is it? We're like the Go Again Gaming is a prime example. That I would feel is more of a community because you get this sort of group of people who are always talking, and it's always like it's constant flow, it's constant ebb and flow, and that to me is like really cool. Like for example, in your Discord server, you see the
Yeah,
people talking, and it's back and forth, and it's nice. That to me is like community, and I think that's really cool. Like that, like you said, the Discord is the best place to probably do that. You get your channels, people are talking, they're interacting. Like I said, we've spoken numerous times about Arkham Horror in your Discord server.
yeah,
Like as go in there, and you can find people who are going to be talking about Flesh and Blood, with all sorts of conversations going on. And I always find that really cool. Um, but yeah, like it seems like those are the best places for it. I always feel, if that makes sense.
yeah, for sure. I mean, like any card game community is gonna also like overall like as a big thing, it's gonna have like little pockets,
Mm,
like there's like your local pockets where people have their local communities. There's like pockets of like the pro players who like have their own private little chats that do their things. There's you know I'm aware of multiple little private little chat pockets that
yeah.
exist of like, here's like the caster commentary caster little chat thing, and here's the one with like the pro players, and then you have like the Flesh and Blood Discord, which I actually don't I don't have time to go to. I don't do that.
Yeah, I
um
don't really go in there either. I think that's one of the things that, again, that sort of spurs me in that direction of, well, I'm not. What is community? I'm always really sort of thinking about that. But then I feel like these little sort of discords, well, not little. There's loads of people in them, but like, yeah, I always feel like they're the real gold mines for quote unquote community, and like
yeah,
yourself, and like as is probably my most uh relevant example. So I'm usually gobbing off in there about something. Um, uh, Overly critical is how I like to describe myself, but
Yeah.
um, overly critical. I've always we did Bravo Bros, and Az looked at Pascal and was like, "Oh, what do you think about the Blitz format for skirmish season?" And Pascal was giving all his thoughts, and the whole time I could see Az like looking at me, like waiting for me to pounce. And I just came in, I was like, it's rubbish, and then it came out again. And well, I didn't say it was rubbish, but because I don't think it's rubbish, but I said, as like, so I think Tom has different thoughts on this. Like, I do have different thoughts,
Yeah.
but yeah, so that was really cool. And you wouldn't have, I don't feel like you could have got. I never saw that anywhere else. Was basically my point at that. So I love the term community, but I don't like the term community. It's really weird. But yeah, do you have any personal goals? So obviously, like in sort of the broader aspects, and not necessarily Red Zone Rogue focused. Do you have anything you want to do outside of that remit?
Um. Most of my life is Red Zone Rogue now.
Yeah.
Um. Well, I mean, like on the grander scheme of thing, I think anyone who's in my age bracket who doesn't own a house, I think owning a house is like up there. Robin and I, we have a townhouse, but we don't own it. We're
Okay.
just renting it here. It's a nice place in a nice city, um, but you know, it'd be nice to have our own place. And then I don't know, like doing. I'm gonna be getting back into casting later this year. I
Cool.
can't talk about it yet, but I'm gonna be doing some casting later this year for Flesh and Blood. Um,
Nice.
I did casting for Grand Archive last weekend, which went really really well. Um, and yeah, I'll be traveling a lot more this year for card game events. So like, um, I'll be traveling for Flesh and Blood event soon. After that, we have Grand Archive. Um, Ascent Houston, which I got invited to, which is great. And then
Cool.
we have Flesh and Blood Worlds
Mm.
later this year as well. So like doing a little bit more traveling for the channel and stuff is cool. Um, but other than that, it's just kind of like normal stuff.
Cool.
Getting a house would be great. One thing, it's not really a goal, but one thing I've been doing lately, and maybe a little too expensive, but I have been sort of collecting paintings from Sorcery, like original paintings. So
Okay.
right here we have one here. I
Oh
actually have
yeah.
two. I have two currently. One of them I got as part of the collector tier. You can't see it; it's the Scorpions. And then I also have another one here, which is one of the big chase cards of the game. It's one of
Nice.
the Alchemy 9. It's Mixed Terra. This one was given to me as a gift.
Ah,
Um,
nice. Okay.
so these two I technically didn't specifically pay for them. Like I got this one from the collector tier, and then I got this one as a gift. Um, but I am buying another. I am buying a painting that should get here like next week from one of my favorite artists, who is a well-known metal album cover artist, Dan Seagrave. Actually, originally from
Okay.
the UK. Um,
Wow.
Dan Seagrave's art is so good, dude. Um, and so I will be getting the painting. It's I'll show it off in a video.
Well, that's it.
Um, but
I want to see
basically,
it.
the way I saw someone posting on the art house page for Sorcery, um, like, hey, someone's trying to sell this painting, yada yada yada. And long story short, I gonna be getting about the painting, and I basically traded a card as well to help compensate for the value of it. I had a very valuable curio card that I also like traded
Okay.
as part of the
From the
price.
sorcery set. Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Um, but I told my partner Robin how much I paid for it, which is more than two grand. And she was like, she gave me a look, and I'm like, wait, it's from the money that I got selling the other cards. So just think of it as think of it as that. Don't think about it in terms of like the money itself. Think about it in terms of like trading commodities, right? Traded
Yeah.
a shiny card for $8,000, which I then put into a painting. So like I'm getting like an actual physical. This is the craziest part to me, by the way. I sold that card for so much money that I'm getting an original hand done painting for like a fourth of the price of
Yeah,
just the card, and that's
insane.
that's insane to me.
Yeah,
Um, I'm I'm not a big finance guy, never have been, and in fact, I never had much money like growing up, and wasn't able to afford a lot of stuff. So like the fact that I own like three paintings now is like kind of insane to me. I never thought I would even own one, much less three. And then like
three.
so like
Yeah.
my big thing now is like I'm not cards are cool. I like collecting cards every now and then. I'm not a huge one, like I said, not a huge investor or anything like that. But what I really am into are original hand drawn stuff. So like back
Mm.
here, I have the two sorcery paintings, and then here, do you have a video version and an audio version, or just
No, just the audio.
okay?
Nobody needs to see my face except on
Okay,
Barlow
so
Bros.
I'll describe it. So I have two original sorcery paintings, but also underneath them in my background, I actually have so Flesh and Blood. Notably, does not most of the artists, if not all of the artists, none of them do original paintings. It's all digital. Like so, none of it is like hand drawn with paints and stuff. It's all digital. However,
Mm.
some of the artists offer um, drawings, I guess you could call them, and
Yeah.
I've actually gotten three. So I have two here in the background from Livia Prima, one of my favorite
Mm.
artists, just
Nice.
of all time. She's a brilliant artist. She's worked on many, many card games, notably games that I've talked about today: Dragoborn, Flesh and Blood, Magic the Gathering. She's done art for all of these games.
Okay.
Um, and so she has drawn me Prism, which she is the artist of Prism in Flesh and Blood. And then she also drew me Dromai. Um, and so whenever a new illusionist comes out, I'm going to ask her to draw the other illusionist because now I'm just getting her to draw all of the illusionists.
Okay.
Um,
That's
and then
pretty cool.
underneath that we have a drawing that looks awesome by Iswardi Therianto, also another Flesh and Blood artist. Most notably, he did the art for the original Arachne Huntsman.
Okay.
Um, and so I saw that he did Shikishi. These are all done on Shikishi boards, which are just kind of like these square Japanese boards that a lot of anime artists and manga artists do like doodles and sketches on, and then they sign them. Um,
Okay.
and so I saw that Iswardi had some, and I messaged him and I was like, "Hey, I was wondering if you had any, if you would take any commissions for this kind of stuff. Blah blah blah. I'm a big fan of your work. I know you're going to be at." He was at the Pro Tour, and I was like, "Hey, if you do this, I could just have one of my friends pick it up for me at the Pro Tour, and then he could mail it to me, because I wasn't going to be at the Pro Tour." And he was like, "Yeah, sure. What do you want?" And I was like, "Okay." This is right after I spoiled Uzuri, and I was like, "Hey, I know you haven't drawn this character yet, but could you draw Uzuri?" Because he did Arachne. And I was like, "If you're not comfortable drawing Uzuri, then I would like you to draw Arachne. I just want you to draw an assassin because like I'm really into that." And
Yeah.
he's like, "No, I'd love to draw Uzuri." And I was like, "All right, awesome. I'll let you pick adult or young, whatever one you'd like to draw. Just go for it." And
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
he picked adult Uzuri. It looks really cool.
Nice.
And it's that kind of stuff is what, in terms of like collecting and that's what I'm really into these days. Wall space is very limited though, so I can't collect too much more. But and they're expensive.
Yeah.
They're fairly expensive-ish, not as much as I would think. So Livia Prima raised her prices, but I
Oh.
think hers are around $250.
Okay.
And then Iswardi, I think, is also around $250 if I remember right. Um,
It's not
but
too horrific, is it really?
well, it's like
Considering what it
yeah,
is.
it's a custom hand drawn piece of artwork that
Yeah.
you ask whatever you want, and both of them I had them made out to me. So like, or at least these last two, they say two Red Zone Rogue on them. So it's like they're very
Nice.
personalized ones. Um,
I like
and
it.
I'd rather have that. I'll be honest, man. I'd rather have that than like a Marvel Angel or something, just because like this is something that is
Mm.
here. It's in my studio. It's like part of my daily experience, right? Whereas like Marvel Angel's cool. Like Fables are cool, but like this is something that like is like more part of my life, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
And
I
that
keep
stuff like
toying with the idea of doing like getting like some artist proofs, and then I always end up looking and going, I could buy more cards for that. That
proofs
make I
proofs are very expensive if you get the
mm,
really nice drawings. So I have a crap load of artist proofs. I think I have 30 with sketches,
nice,
and the
nice.
drawings, the prices range from like $50 to like 175. Some of the artist
Yeah.
proof sketches are very expensive.
Like
Um,
the Fire Redeemed. I ain't
oh
getting
yeah,
that.
yeah. I mean, Steve Argyle is awesome. He's a great dude. I've chatted with
Yeah,
him more than a few times.
oh,
Um,
nice.
I bought the playmat. I'm not buying the artist proof. I'll put it that way. I
Yeah,
did buy the Vibe playmat.
I uh I was talking to someone, I can't remember who it was. Was really disappointed because he'd said that he would try and go to all like the call-ins for Flesh
Mm,
and Blood. He would try and be at all of them, and I was like, when they said there was going to be three artists there and they hadn't announced the third one, I was like, please be Steve Argyle, please, because I just
yeah.
want my Viscerai signed, my foil Rainbow Four Viscerai signed. I was like, come on, come on. No, it was just the two of them. The chap who drew Briar and
Oh yeah,
the
yeah.
chap who drew like Flail of Agony and
It's like the Briar guy's like Othon Nicolaitis or something like that.
yeah, he was really nice. I got my Briar signed, and what really blew my mind was he had a fabled Command and Conquer on the
Ooh,
table, and
yeah,
I said to him, I was like, "Has somebody asked you to sign that?" He went, "Yeah." He said, "I've had about six of these today," and
nice.
I was just like, "Wow, okay."
Yeah. Um. Hey, I got I actually got Steve Argyle to sign one of my cards that's worth about $1,000. Um, I got him to sign my cold foil adult Viscerai.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
and that one was given to me as a gift from Legend Story Studios for the
Oh,
first year of
nice.
Flesh and Blood. Yeah, it was first year for Christmas. They sent me a cold foil adult Viscerai. At the time, I think there was only two known available. There's the one that I had and the one that Steve Argyle had. Um, and so yeah,
Nice.
when I first met Steve, I got him to sign my Viscerai. Um, so that's actually on my background display, my Viscerai. And then also another time I talked to Steve at a different event. He had those blank Flesh and Blood cards that they've given to artists. If people know what I'm talking about, they're basically like Flesh and Blood cards. It looks like they have almost like the equipment, the standard equipment frame, but it's just blank, and they're there
Mm.
for artists to doodle on. It has kind of a subtle rainbow foiling. It's kind of funny how I've seen people sell these, like the blank ones, for a lot of money because literally artists just have stacks of them that they were given to for free. And Steve was just giving them out
Oh,
like for
nice.
free. And so I was chatting with Steve, and so one year, one time he doodled me a little dragon and a little angel. They're kind of like little funny, like cartoony angels and dragons. Um, and then at the other event, I think this must have been at Worlds. No, no, no. This wasn't Worlds. No, no. This was a different event. This is the one in Orlando. So this is the calling that was in Orlando. I think. It might have been the Pro Tour. Like, but I was chatting with Steve, and he was wearing a Spinal Tap shirt. And I don't know if folks out there who know what Spinal Tap is, but Spinal Tap is a movie about,
Yeah.
it's like a fake documentary. It's a mockumentary about a band called
Mockumentary.
Spinal
Yeah.
Tap, and it's kind of like really funny, just kind of like a tongue-in-cheek take on like the music industry from like the '60s to '80s. Um, it's a great movie. It's really funny. A lot of the things were like this goes to 11 comes from that. Um, but he was wearing a Spinal Tap shirt. So we're talking about Spinal Tap and we're talking about music. And I was like, hey man, if it's not too much trouble, could I get you to doodle a Viscerai for me? Because I'd seen some of his Viscerai drawings. And he's like, yeah, of course. And this is like while they were doing all of the foil stamp signatures for some of the other stuff that I was buying from him. Because I bought a couple play mats and some stuff.
Cool.
He Steve Argyle does he used to do art for Legend of the Five Rings. In fact, he was the art director for that game for a while.
Oh
Um,
wow. Okay.
yeah, yeah, he had a huge part in the art for that game. And so I was buying some L5R stuff and some Flesh and Blood stuff. But anyway, so we were chatting, and he doodled me a Viserai that has a guitar. Then it has
Oh,
two little stone henges in the background from the movie, and it says he titled it Viserai Spinal Tap Backup Bassist, and it is so rad. I
that's
think that's
awesome.
like one of my favorite things, like card things that I own. It's so cool. Um, it,
See,
and he gave it was free. Like
that's
he didn't
nice.
charge me for it. I mean, I did buy a bunch. I bought like $200 worth of stuff from him,
But
but still,
say,
like,
yeah, you'd put money in his pocket anyway.
yeah, Steve's a great guy. I'm always happy to
Oh,
support him, um, and
yeah,
support artists in general. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I was really gutted that it's actually I've had the feedback that they put on Leaving Realms put online, like give feedback, and I did put as part of my feedback that I felt it was a shame they only had the two artists. Like it was cool, but I was like, you know, where's Steve Argyle? Because I've got my rainbow foil. I'm you know pauper. I've got rainbow foil, which is still bleeding expensive. And I was like, oh come on, come on, come on! I can get it signed. I can get it signed. No, I was like, no. Um, Heartbroken. I got this Briar signed, which was cool. Um, second card I got signed. I've got Young Viscerai signed, but that's not Steve Argyle. That was
Yeah. In fact, I saw someone. He was a little offended too. I think maybe not offended, but I saw someone hand Steve a pile of cards to sign, which is first of all,
yeah,
it's a little BM. It's a little
dodgy.
bad manners. Just to have someone sign a massive pile, but he was going through it, and one of them was Young Viscera, and he's like, "I didn't do this." He's like, "I didn't do this art," which like made
Oof.
it even feel more BM. Like why are you getting the cards signed if you didn't care enough to realize it's not the right artist? Like I don't know.
Yeah, someone putting them online. That is, isn't it? That's an
Yeah,
online sales job. Nah, I wouldn't do that to somebody. That's just
yeah.
naughty.
I did get a handful of cards signed at Worlds though, but they were very like nice cards. So like for
Yeah.
example, Wish Newton, Livia Prima, a lot of actually Southeast Asian artists were at Worlds, and so like Wish Newton did he did Leviah, the original Leviah. He did Reinar,
Mm.
Romping Club, and so I actually have Rainbow Foil Adult Leviah, Rainbow Foil Adult Reinar, and Cold Foil Romping Club, and I wanted him to sign all of them. So like that kind of stuff. I had like these really nice copies of cards that I wanted them to sign, so like I could have a
Did he maybe
really cool
do
one.
young Viscera as well? Because I think my adult Leviathan
Mm,
signed.
I don't remember, but the
I got
one thing
two
I
cards signed as gotten me from Baltimore, and then
okay.
I got the one from Birmingham. Maybe
I do
not one
know
hundred percent.
the another artist there was Liu Lasahito, who did the original Dorinthia, and
Ooh, nice.
one of the things that I found that was so cool. I was just trying to find cards to get signed because I wanted um, like artists at least to do a couple signatures. Is that in the alpha version of WTR, the adult Reinar and the adult Dorinthia are on the same card. They're double sided, and so both of the artists were there, and so I got both artists to sign double sided um like three different versions. And so what I did is I gave two of them away and I kept one for myself. So I gave two
Oh,
away on the
nice.
channel, and I kept one for myself. So it's got Leo's signing the Dorinthia side, and if you flip it over, it's the adult Reinar signed by Vishnu Todd. So it's kind of like this cool double face thing. I was like,
That's
when is
pretty
this
cool.
gonna happen again? Like both both artists are in the same room on this double sided card. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. When will that? Hmm.
Worlds was fun. I do hope, like you said, I do hope they bring a ton of artists in for Worlds. You know that a lot of the artists probably want to go. Like this is Barcelona, so like
Oh yeah.
I imagine a few of them would just want to go for the vacation, right?
I am trying to convince the missus that we should conveniently family holiday in Barcelona around that time.
there
Um,
there is no chance in hell that Robin's going with me. Like she is just no. I was like, hey, do you want to go to Spain? And she's like, no. And I'm like,
oh,
well, it'd be fun. And she's like, I'm not taking a time off work. And I'm like, all right, fine.
So what will you be doing while I'm in Barcelona? Well, I'll be playing cards. Like, okay.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be stuck doing Flesh and Blood stuff, and she'll be by herself. It's fine.
Yeah. I'm like, listen, Livy, I just need to nip out, go to the shop and get some bits. 8 hours later, come back, didn't get the bits, but
Yeah,
queue was huge. Um,
yeah.
Why have you got your backpack on? No reason. Just, yeah, I don't think it'll work for some reason. I was talking to Andres, a guy we know from Az's Discord, and at Birmingham, and he was like, "There's a beach 20-minute walk away. What's she want?" I was like, "Yeah, that ain't gonna work, mate."
Yeah.
As much as I want it to, it ain't gonna work. Um, cool. So we will wrap. Um, People probably don't need to know your socials; they probably already know them. But for anybody out there who's been living under a rock, who does not know, would you like to plug everything and anything you would like to plug?
Yeah, for sure. So the branding is very consistent a lot across the board. So it's just at Red Zone Rogue, one word, everywhere. So Facebook, at Red Zone Rogue, Twitter at Red Zone Rogue, Instagram at Red Zone Rogue. Though I don't typically use Facebook and Instagram as much. I'm mostly on Twitter. Also, I refuse to call it X. I'm still calling it Twitter.
Yeah,
Um,
I am as well.
and then YouTube.com/Red Zone Rogue. That's where you can mostly find me. If you want to actually mention something or talk to me, it's best on Twitter. I do have people still try to message me on Instagram, and I like rarely check it. And then I'll check it, and someone like asked me a question like 2 months ago, and I'm like, well, sorry. Like, but most I use is I use Instagram to double post because it'll post on Instagram, and then I click the button to make it post on my Facebook too, so I don't have to go to Facebook either. So I just post it
uh,
to both.
that makes
Yeah.
sense. That makes sense. Mine's linked to my personal one, so unfortunately it doesn't work. I'm a complete technophobe and I have no idea how to link it properly, so it just does it on the podcast page. Um, uh,
Yep. Yep.
Thank you everyone for listening. You can follow us on Instagram at Big Boss Book Club, Twitter Big Boss 010, Facebook, and the ever present Hive Social at Big Boss Book Club. If you do follow us on all those platforms, let us know, and you will receive exclusive content in a sealed brown paper bag marked hazardous. Um, Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. This has been the Red Zone Rogue. I'm Big Boss. We are out. Peace.